That's MRLOCARIO.com. MrLocario.com.
Hey, check this out, guys. There's a brand new book out called Black History in a Nutshell. Now, this is a great book on black history. It talks about things like how the planet Earth was a world of all black people from the beginning of time to about 4000 BC. It talks about how black people were the first people in America when Africa and America was one land and divided 40,000 BC. Visit blackhistoryshell.com or visit Amazon for information on this amazing book of black history. That's Black History in a Nutshell at blackhistoryshell.com. If you're out traveling somewhere in another country and you're trying to spit some game, or you're trying to do some kind of commerce, or you're trying to handle business, and you want to be able to translate what you're trying to say naturally, you need to check out this new app called Two-Way ATT. It's the auto text translator. It's better than Google Translate because it lets the conversation flow naturally when you speak through this app so that it seems like you speak the same language. So go to iTunes and check out Two-Way ATT Auto Text Translator. Yo, if you want to get your mouthpiece tight, you want to get your game right, and you want to get your ism out of sight, you need to check out my man Kevin Derek Gentry. My man does personal coaching and game advising, and he teaches dudes how to really step that game up on how to pull women and really get women to cooperate with that game. So check out my man Kevin Derek Gentry, aka the Boss Hog Macaroni. Call or text him at 404-207-5640 to get that personal game. Yo, if you have a business, if you have a blog, you have a website, or any other kind of URL that needs traffic, then say no more. Go to buywebsitetraffics.net, and for as little as $5, you can run traffic from anywhere around the world. It delivers targeted and real visitors with YouTube, Twitter, and a Facebook package. So go right now to buywebsitetraffics.net and get that traffic flowing. Again, that's buywebsitetraffics.net.
This is the Fortune 500 marketer, Musa Ali. Are you sick of working a dead-end job and want to be financially free? Well, LSV Marketing is a marketing company that pays you $500 to $1,000 every Friday on autopilot for simply referring people to our company. It's that simple. If you sign up now at lsvmarketing.com, I'll plug you into our free training so you can start making money in your sleep. But you have to sign up now because spots are limited. Go to lsvmarketing.com. That's lsvmarketing.com.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Crispy, everybody, and I got a brand new video game app out right now, everybody. It's called Crispy's Biscuits, everybody, and you can get the Crispy's Biscuits app right now on the iPhone Apple Store, everybody, and you can also get it on the Google Play Store, everybody. As a matter of fact, everybody, it was the #1 game on Google Play all last week, everybody. The game is so exciting, everybody. There's 10 levels you can help me get through, everybody, where I'm dodging bottles of lotion, everybody, I'm dodging hair clippers, everybody, and I'm dodging taco meat, everybody. So get the Crispy's Biscuits game right now, everybody, at crispysbiscuits.com, everybody. Now I'm about to do my coon laugh, everybody.
The most intense new video game app has now arrived. A medieval kingdom has been plagued with chaos and disorder. An evil force has dominated the land. And now it is up to the bravest knights to fight back the demonic forces and bring justice to the kingdom of the Moors. Play the newest, most exciting battle fight game app ever, Moorish Kingdom. Available at moorishkingdom.com.
You are now tuning in to the King of Game, Tariq Elite on Tariq Elite Radio.
I am delivered! Oh, what's going on, family? We're back. Welcome back to Tariq Radio. Glad to have everybody tuning in. We're ready to chop up game as we usually do. 1804, man, the movie was a great success all around the world. We had sold out screenings all over the country. So many people came out and represented. It was a wonderful thing, man. Shout out to everybody out there in Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to everybody in the UK. When I went to Birmingham, England, so many people came from all over the UK to watch the film, and we just had a great time, man. Go to 1804movie.com, pre-order the DVD. The DVD is going to be out, available for sale in a few days, so you can pre-order right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let me try to call Dr. Claud Anderson, because we're chopping it up with Claud Anderson today. We're chopping it up with him today. Let me get him on the phone. Hello? Hello? All right, let me try one more time. Hold on. Hello?
Hi, Tariq.
Yes, I'm calling now.
Okay, all right, I'll hang up.
All right. They're calling me. I'm trying to call them. Hold on. Let's try that again. Let me get him back on the phone. All right, now I got to dial the number again. But again, like I said, man, thank you, everybody, for supporting the 1804 film. The screenings were phenomenal. Phenomenal screenings all over the country. The DVD is going to be available in a couple of days, but get your pre-order game on now. Let me get Brother Claud Anderson on the phone right now, yo. We got to chop up some good game today. All right. Hope they know this is my number calling. Hold on.
Thank you for calling. We are unable.
Okay, shit. Come on now. Y'all, Dr. Anderson, y'all get it together. All right, let's try again. All right. Let's get this thing going one more time. It's hell getting Dr. Anderson on the phone.
Hello.
There you go. This is Tariq.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Hold on.
Hello.
Hold on. Wait. Let me see.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, let me try another number. Okay.
If you're on, I can't hear. I'll hang up.
Okay. I'm trying a new. I was dealing with Skype. Skype was janky, so I'm trying Google Hangouts, and now they can't hear my ass. God damn it. I'm always having the janky phone line issues. Let me try this again. Let me just do this. Hold on one second. I'll just do this. I will just do this. We're going to get this thing popping. Hold on one second. Y'all, bear with me. Hold on. Let me see if this works. I'm going to just call them directly this way. Y'all forgive me for the technical difficulties and the technical issues. All right. Let's see if this works, family. Can y'all hear that? Oh, no. There we go.
Hello.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
There you go. All right.
Okay. All right, hold on, Tariq. I'll put him on, okay?
No problem.
Hello.
Hey, Brother Anderson, how are you?
Hi there, Tariq. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. What's going on out there in the D.C. area?
Same old. It's Donald Trump's swamp.
Yeah.
And he came into the swamp, and he's pouring every day. He comes in with 3 or 4 truckloads of quicksand to put in the Trump.
Yeah.
In the swamp.
Oh yeah. So, bro, we got to talk about your book, A Black History Reader. Excellent book. How long did you work on this book, brother?
Well, really, once I got concentrated off of some other things I had to work on, probably about a good year, half a year.
Okay. There's so many things that you hit on in this book, and it just jumps right out the gate, just hitting on some very important points.
Well, that's why a year ago when I started writing it, that's what I was trying to do, write something that was not only historical in nature, but also would cover all current events and to fulfill the commitment that I made to myself when I devoted my life to a certain course and deal with black issues. And that is that I wanted to and aspire to be the only forensic historians on race matters in the entire United States. I'm the only forensic historian, and I try to operate just like a forensic examiner in a morgue or a mortuary, which goes in and examine bodies or do autopsies to find out why these certain things happen and what killed an individual or a group. And I try to do the same thing in race matters. and I do that intentionally to set myself aside from any white historian who might write a book here or there about a black person or a white person. I try to critically analyze what's been killing black folk for 500 years in this country, and why they can't get out of the dilemma. And that's what the Black History Reader is about. It's a forensic study that sort of takes up what was laid out for you in Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, 2 Dirty Little Secrets books about black history, black heroes, and now the final book says this is it. And put it in a new form, question and answer form, and make it almost impossible for black folk not to figure out what was going on and what was being said.
Exactly. It's very digestible. All the information is packaged in little nuggets, so it's a real good, easy read. So it's not over nobody's heads. It's very plain and simple, and it shouldn't be confusing to anybody.
What did you find it easy reading for you then?
I'm almost done with the book. I mean, I breezed through the book so fast. It's just that easy to read and breeze through. It's so much good information, and also while reading it, it stops you and makes you do more research. So, very good information. One thing that really stood out, and that made so much sense. You were saying that black people in America, black Americans, we should stop referring to ourselves as African Americans, which I really agree with. Can you explain that?
Oh, I would definitely do that, and that's a critically important point, Tariq. I'm glad you brought that up, because see, black people keep calling themselves anything other than Black Americans. When they do that, they put a gun in their mouth and pull the trigger. They blow their own brains out the back of their head, because they are not African Americans. There is no distinct connection between blacks in America.
Oh, hello, hello. Uh-oh, my brother made a mistake and hung the phone up. Hold on. Uh-oh. Brother Anderson. He was about to hit on a hell of a good point, too. Let me call him back. He hung the phone up by mistake, but he was about to hit on a great point. Hold on. Let me get him back. Man, he was about to go in. Hold on. Now, that was on his end, not mine. My shit is fucked up, but that was on his end right there. I think. Let me make sure before I point the blame. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, what the hell happened? Okay. What is happening? Okay, let's try it again. Man, I was waiting on that fire. Hold on one second. Man. Okay, I'm dialing his number and I'm not getting nothing. And I don't know what that could be. Okay, y'all bear with me, man, because I really want to get this information. Something's going on with my brother's phone. Let me double check and make sure it's his phone. Somebody said the BIE, they disrupting the broadcast. Hold on one second. Oh man, I want to get this information. I hate when the phone lines are on that bullshit. It makes me look like my shit ain't together, which most of the time it ain't on this show. Hold on, let me see something. Let me make sure it ain't my line. Let me see if I can dial other numbers. Hold on. Okay, yeah. I can dial other numbers. So it's something going on with my brother's line. Let me try again. Yeah, somebody said maybe he's still talking and not knowing that it's cut off. Yeah, he might still be on the line. Yeah, because I'm dialing his number and it is not ringing. It is not ringing. So hopefully he will get his phone line together so I can call him back and everything like that. Let me try seeing what's up with Skype again. And I tried using Google Hangouts. I downloaded that, but then some shit you can't hear. She couldn't hear me when I first called. So these phone lines, man, I hate to have to troubleshoot while I'm live on air. You dig? Let me try this. Let me try And some of y'all call up. So y'all call up on Skype, 818-850-5404. Y'all call up until I get my brother back on the phone. Let me see what's going on with this Skype. And now my Skype online. Hold on one second. Y'all try calling me, 818-850-5404. And let's see if that works. And again, while we're waiting, go to 1804movie.com, ladies and gentlemen. You dig? Hold on one second. Let me try calling him one more time. Maybe I should have just okay, here we go. Yeah, hold on one second. Hold on. What? There we go. All right.
Oh, you hung up on me.
No, it hung up on your end. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. No, I was trying to explain to you the extreme importance in different ways why black folk are distinctly different from Africans coming here, Caribbean, any other blacks on earth, and distinctly different from any whites, immigrants coming to this country. We are unique people. That's what I was trying to tell you. There's nobody on this earth that's been treated and mistreated and maltreated historically and substitutionally except black folk. Everybody's come in this country and replaced us and gained all the benefits while we continue to stay locked in the bottom of the barrel.
Absolutely. And why do you think so many, and you pointed this out in the book, that so many black people think that we have this camaraderie with these other falsely labeled minority groups, and we don't. They're not going to help us at all. Nope. And see, again, because what black folk don't understand is that all these groups coming into America, coming in here, they're coming in under the 1790 immigration laws that were put in effect 1 year after the Constitution was ratified as being a new nation. And the first thing that Congress did, and a year later, was say the Immigration and Naturalization Law that this is a white nation, and anybody coming to this country who has the appearance of being or can classify themselves as being white in any respect will be entitled to all the benefits of this nation. But the black folk will be the only excluded group. And so those coming to the United States, they will be entitled to all the benefits and entitlements under what they call the American dream. And the American dream was made up of two elements. They were made up of coming to this country and getting free land and free black labor. The immigration laws were set up to be an affirmative action program for anybody coming to this country except black folk. And black folk don't understand that, and that's why black folk were shut down for the last 400, 500 years. They're not immigrants, and they don't qualify as immigrants. So why would you want to identify with those? Those people coming here not to get along with black folk. They come here to get ahead of you and get all those benefits, all those privileges, all those rights, and all that wealth and unearned income that you should have gotten and never received. Absolutely. Now, another theme in the book, you talk about how the political process has not worked for black people in all these years. Why hasn't it not worked?
It hasn't worked for two things. First of all, because black folk were excluded out of the system. And because again, black folk don't understand. You got two constitutions in the United States. Oh, you had two constitutions, Tariq. The first Constitution of the United States. It was put into place in 1789. But our black leadership, all the way through history, has never understood that the first Constitution was the first 12 amendments that were put in place in 1789. Now, but the black folk were excluded from that. And but by 1857. The Supreme Court under Taney says that black people have no rights, that a white man is bound to respect this country because you are property. You have no rights. And so when the Civil War ended, then a few radical Republicans said, well, we got to make sure that black folk, now they're free, that they get some rights and some resources. And the rights and resources should not be political, they should be economic. They say only two things, Tariq, that a black person can be in America. He can either be free or he can be a slave. But minimally, to be free, he must have 40 acres, a mule, and $100. And otherwise, he'll never get out of the box. And based on that, they passed the first civil rights law in 1865 that says that every level of government has a right and an obligation to mandate to lift all the badges and incidences of slavery off the shoulders of black folk. Not whites, not minorities, not poor folk, not immigrants, not gays, not midgets, or people with hemorrhoids, or anything else, but for black folk. And it says that every level is obligated to carry out the mandates and lift the badges and incidents. But what happened, the Supreme Court that found out that the whites in the South still needed black labor because they were given back, they converted back to the first first Constitution, which gave them back all the land in the South. They still needed labor. They needed cheap labor. They couldn't get slave labor. They had cheap labor. And the North was not interested in blacks coming north. And so the North and the white Northerns and the Southern whites agreed that they could have the blacks by neutralizing the Second Constitution. The Second Constitution of the United States was made up of the Civil Rights Law of 1865, 1866, the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment. Those laws were put in effect strictly and solely for black folk. And the United States Supreme Court, which is the guardian of racism in America, says the way we keep black folk in a box so the South can continue to use them is to neutralize the Second Constitution and pretend it somehow is for everybody. So the immigrants and everybody else come to the country and get those benefits, and the whites can even get those benefits. So they got the first benefits from the first Constitution. Now all these immigrants can get the same benefits from the Second Constitution, which was written for black folk. And so that's why they say that the civil rights laws and the 13th and 14th Amendment applies to everybody. That was done by the Supreme Court to keep black folks locked in box, but no blacks make an issue out of it.
And you know, something very interesting that you talked about in the book that really stood out, you're talking about how really one of the first black leaders to further neutralize the black empowerment was actually Dr. Martin Luther King in a certain way, right?
Yeah, that's right. See, as a matter of fact, up until about the 1960s, every black throughout the history of this nation has always been opposed to immigration coming to this country because they understood what I'm telling you now, that the immigration laws granted anybody coming to this country to be equal to white folk and get all the benefits and rights that should have occurred to black folk that are being denied. And so, and they oppose immigration laws. That's why even Booker T. Washington says, please tell us that we will be the best people in the world for you. We worked for you. We've done this. Why you keep mistreating us and bringing in immigrants? And everybody was opposed to it. Then by 1928, the black folk even tried to get a bill passed called a Bill of Rights for Black folk. Because, again, trying to recover the Second Constitution Amendment, which was killed off by the Supreme Court in the 1860s and 1870s. They said, write us a bill for black rights. And that few of those blacks in 1920s struggled, in 1930s struggled with that. But they had an opposition coming from the black civil rights leaders, from the black ministers, and the black newspapers. They said, we don't want that much blackness anymore. We might want to go into universality, what later be called integration, to get along with whites. So when Martin Luther King came in the 1960s, late 1950s and early 1960s, he says, let's now shift, and started talking about rights and advantages for all people, for poor people, and for everybody. And he switched, and he killed off and wiped out, and he took all the blackness off of black folk. I mean, all the rights off of black folk. And what happened with that? And that's when the public policy of benign neglect and political correctness came in, and now it says, now let's make black folk totally disappear, make them insignificant, irrelevant, and never include them in a damn thing. That started in 1960s, late 1960s, 1970s. That's why black folk have been dead now for 50 years.
Wow. There was something else that was very profound when you talked about the segregation or the integration school case. What was that case? The Supreme Court case, Brown versus the Board of Education. You pointed out that a lot of folks don't know that the case was really about getting economic resources.
Right. See, the people in the South, that's what it was about. It wasn't about, that's the NAACP did that switch stick on it. They had a group of Jews in one of their organizations, leading their organizations, that switched the emphasis from economics to social. And see, when the Jews first started coming to this country in about the 1910s and 1915s, around the first Civil War, they came in and said that we know we can try to get ahead. We're leaving Europe, coming to America, and what we can do is that let's cut some kind of agreement with black folk in this country, and say what we'll do is we'll support black folk in social issues. and maybe some political issues if black folk would allow us to have access to their communities and their economy, so that Jews begin to set up businesses throughout every black community in America. And they were linked in with the NAACP and Urban League. So 1948, black folk began to understand that they were being mistreated, maltreated educationally in this country. And see, I grew up in South Carolina, and see, and when in McClinton, South Carolina, when that lawsuit came up about 1940, 1949, it floated around into about 1954 in the Supreme Court. But what we found in the lawsuit about was correcting things that was going on in the South. See, in the South, white kids were riding to school every day on buses, while black kids had to walk in mud and rain and snow trying to get to school, and on the side and through bushes and fields to get to school. White kids then, when they got to school, they had swimming pools. We didn't have swimming pools in our little schools. What we had to do if we wanted to swim, we had to go down to the creek and dam up the creek and swim in the creek. They had tennis courts. We didn't have those tennis courts. The state of South Carolina, they were paying $12 almost for every white child to go to school, but they were only paying about $1.50 to $2 for a black child to go to school. And then every black kid in our schools, for the first week of school that started in September, when you went to school, you had to spend the entire first week in school with arc-gum erasers and napkins and paper trying to clean up their old books, because white schools would send all their old used books and materials and equipment over to black schools while they got all their new stuff. The new stuff would come to the white schools, and after they used it for about a year or two, they would ship it over to the black schools. So what the black teachers were saying is that we don't care about, we're not looking for no darn social integration. We want to be able to have decent schools and equipment and paper and pencils and teachers being paid a decent salary. And so when they got into the courts, and the court said, well, we'll raise it if you don't. If you want us to, we'll do this. And those people said, nope. What we want to do is we want all vestiges of blackness to disappear, because I just told you, under political, we want everything politically to disappear. No more segregation. We don't want equal schools for black folk. We don't want blacks to have any school. And so when I took over education in the state of Florida, and I was over education in the state of Florida, I was the only black in the history of nations, but on the entire state system. I was over it for 7 or 8 years. And I said, at the Department of Education, I was over, what do you intend to do under the concept of integration? They said, well, Doctor, that's what we're going to do. We're going to fire the black teachers, fire the black administrators, fire the black counselors, close down all the black schools, bus 75% of the black kids into the white schools, and put the other 25% in the special education classes. And I said, no, I'm not for that. I want you to leave the black communities alone and start busing the best equipment, the best teachers, the best money, and equal over to the black neighborhoods. But you had organizations like CORE and a lot of other civil rights organizations, CORE, NAACP, and Urban League. They said, we don't want anything left black. And so we're going to start killing off everything black. That's why you lost all your communities, your schools, your businesses, your sports team, everything black got wiped out.
You know, what's interesting now, that whole affirmative action argument is coming back up with a lot of the so-called conservatives. They say, well, if black folks want something, we can't give affirmative action because that's unfair.
Say it again, Tariq.
I said that a lot of conservatives now are bringing up that old, tired affirmative action argument that, well, we shouldn't do anything for black folks because that's affirmative action and that's unfair to other groups. What's the hypocrisy behind that?
Well, see, that's in response to, I have the dubious honor of being the first person that wrote an affirmative action plan in the United States. And I wrote it for the state of Florida in 1970, 1971. That went across the United States. I did not write that plan for anybody but black folk, because affirmative action is supposed to make corrective action. Corrective action, now this is very important for you. Corrective action for something that the government or levels of government have done systematically, conscientiously, wholeheartedly, devotedly, and historically against a specific group of people. That's what affirmative action is. You're correcting something that the government has done. No other group, the government hasn't done anything. They haven't done anything to Hispanics and Arabs and Asians and midgets and transsexuals and gays. They haven't done anything to them. So you're taking the affirmative action concept and you misused it. And now the resource that should have gone to black folk is the same thing that happened back in 1866 again under the Freedmen's Bureau. When the Freedmen's Bureau was set up to do something specifically for freedmen, it's called freedmen. Freedmen, not free people. It's for freedmen, slaves coming out of slavery. They said they sort of been given land, food, clothing, and stuff, and help, and some money to be able to compete against and to compete to live. But the whites again says, well, what we neutralize that so to go for everybody, and we let whites go in. So whites then got included. All the white Southerners got involved in the freedmen's bill. They got all the resources. And once they took all the resources, they then set black folk free to leave slavery with the penniless, no money, no clothes, no tools, no animals, no land, no houses, no religion, no business, no education, no organization, no family unity, no culture, nothing. And said, now you all go and compete. And the people, what do you mean compete? You either root hog or die. That was a quote, which means you either learn how to compete and survive or you die. And said, and instead we'll give all the funds and stuff that should come out of the Freedmen's Federation, which was sort of an affirmative action plan for ex-slaves. They gave it to whites throughout the South. The same thing happened in the 1960s with the civil rights, with the affirmative action thing I wrote. Again, it's a little bit for black folk, but they put in women. Women are a majority. And a majority, but they put white women into it under Title IX, where a congressman from Virginia and a senator from Louisiana says we would never approve anything for black folk before we first approve it for white women. And they and they put in Title IX so that all the money that should have gone to black folk on affirmative action in education, as an example, they gave it to whites. In the state of Florida, we had 69 counties. I asked all the county superintendents, how do you plan on spending your desegregation or your integration funds in schools? How you going to spend it? Every one of them said, we're going to spend it for white women under Title IX. And seeing your black leadership never picked up or made an argument against Title IX. And instead, what they're doing still today, they're still championing and trying to equate gender, transgenders, and everything's being equal to black. That's why I said, if you go back to what I told you about exceptionality, and understand that you're exceptional people. Do not let anybody compare. There's nobody been treated or maltreated or abused or exploited in this country but black people for 500 years. Why let somebody come in and call you a minority, a poor folk, a person of color, a multicultural diversity, and all that kind of stuff?
Now, we know that right now in this day and age, we have so many black people being executed by these police officers out here, and they use their economy to protect these officers. They have these unions that will pay for lawyer expenses, that will buy judges. You have even the NRA. They have this insurance thing that they have for people who commit murder. What are some of the things black people can do financially to counter these police killings out here?
Well, the only thing you can do, period, it has to be economic. See, the whole issue and birth of racism is economic. It started in the 1500s. Only our people don't understand what racism is and where it began and why it still exists. It's economic. The only power in America, whether it's coming out of white hands or in the black community, is economic power. That's the only power. Anything else is a response to that. And when you start talking about killings and shootings, that's political. See, that the whole point of during slavery, the first police issues, the arose, came out of came up in 1643, when they had slaves all locked down. So the state of Virginia was the first one to pass a law that says that now that we might have to fight some Indians or anybody else, that under no circumstances can blacks be armed or having the weapons, tools, or knives, or signal mules. Then in about 1670, they passed a law through all the colonies saying that black folk cannot be armed and black folk cannot do anything that would be insulting or threatening to whites. And so they passed these laws, and those laws were put in 1789 when the Constitution was drafted. They inserted the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment authorized whites to be able to shoot blacks back in those days until the present time. When it went into the Second Constitution Amendment was added, it says that it passed laws saying that every white citizen, male between the ages of 18 and 45 years of age, is obliged to be able to always be armed and prepared to monitor and defend the structure of the white community and its businesses against any potential black slave uprising or any black slave revolts or runaway black slaves. And they set up what's called patty rollers that will watch the roads and check on blacks, all them checking their credentials and find out why they are moving around. And the first police in this country, to answer your question, the first police in this country were created in South Carolina. They were called plantation police. and their only obligation was to monitor and black folk and to keep them disarmed, and they were defenseless and could not protect themselves. And that's why when the black codes came up in after slavery, the first thing every southern state did was pass a law saying a black person could not have a weapon, could not be armed to protect themselves. That's how they were able to mistreat black folk for 100 years in the South under the black codes and peonage, because black folk could not carry weapons, and police in the South could do anything to them. The sheriffs, the judges could railroad them, send them to prison for any violation of what they call a code of ethics or a black code. Anything that white folk did not like, they could either kill you, lynch you, or shoot you because you could not defend yourself, and they used the police and the sheriff's departments and the law enforcement agency to carry it out. So right now the police are not doing anything different they've been doing since slavery. Only our people just work out of totally ignorance, or they out betraying their own people by siding with the system against their own people. I don't understand it. They're too intellectually lazy to understand these issues, Tariq.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, how important is it, even though we have now become black Americans, we're culturally different from a lot of brothers and sisters in Africa. How important is it for us to try to link up with them to get an economic, international, global economic foundation started?
Well, it's very important, but there are certain principles and systems you have to go on, and that's very comprehensive, but I can show you how it can be done on paper. And it can be done. I tried to do it when I was with President Carter, and back in 1978, when Mayor Jackson and I were talking about when he was trying to develop the Atlanta International Airport, and I was calling for a reverse investment trade program to be developed in this country at the same time, and in trade missions. I was taking trade missions around the world into Latin America, Venezuela, Colombia, down and throughout Europe and Africa. And I was talking to leaders in Africa, to ECOWAS, the West African Economic Ministers. I'm going to bring them into Atlanta to coincide with the opening of the Atlanta International Airport, and try to promote economic development on a Pan-African basis. And the same thing I was going to try to do in Detroit. Detroit would have been an excellent place for blacks to practice economic Pan-Africanism and to be able to compete. They can do it, but there are certain things they have to do, and I had a comprehensive plan. I still got a plan that they could carry out to do it. But you cannot. But Africa cannot do it. All these blacks, somebody going back to Africa, that's a waste of time. And Africans cannot bring about the enjoyment of blacks around the world. It has to be done under the same model that Jews use. The most powerful Jews on the earth are in America. The Jews in America set how Jews around the world are treated. And they're the ones who make sure that the resources go into the Jewish communities around the world. Black folk have to come to understand that the only recourse that they have to bring and unite blacks around the world would be to uplift and enrich and empower blacks in America, and then obligate them to play the leadership role in uniting all the blacks in this country. Should be united with blacks in Caribbean and Latin America and in Africa. And because you can't in Africa now is being taken over totally by Asians, Chinese, Latin Americans, Europeans. They're dominating and sucking all the resources out of Africa. And you got some dumb butt blacks in Africa who just enacted a constitution in Africa that exclude their own people, and set up an affirmative action program in South Africa to bring in Chinese to build businesses and get preferential treatment. But it says specifically that Chinese can come in on affirmative action basis and get the resources of South Africa, but black folk cannot get anything. They have to be denied and shut out. And that is the new constitution of South Africa. Now you explain that to me, how they can be that damn dumb at this time and day.
Well, when I was in South Africa, I was there like a year ago, and just all those black people living in townships and these shanty towns, and these white people are living in these nice condos, and that just blew my mind. It just completely blew my mind over there that they would just allow that to happen. Go ahead, brother.
Well, see, I understand that. See, they invited me to come to Africa to speak. And I said, no, I'm not coming. I said, why? They said, we need you to hear from me. Now, you don't need to hear from me. Anytime in South Africa, you got a black population. It's about 29.5 million black folk living in South Africa, and about 2.5 million whites and other groups affiliated, associated, or identified as being with the white community. If anytime the 29.5 million cannot overrun and overrule 2.5 million, you don't need me. You're in a world of trouble, and you quit trying to practice what the Martin Luther King concept. See, when Mandela came out of prison, he picked up the ideas that were being perpetuated by Martin Luther King, and instead of trying to redistribute the resources, the wealth and power and privileges in South Africa, he went up there he didn't want to talk about social integration and getting along. And that's why South Africa has not advanced. They're going backwards and deeper into trouble, just like in Black America in the last 50 years. Both of them in South Africa and in America. The blacks in South Africa and the blacks in America went back into the toilet.
Man, now when you spoke of Detroit, now from what I understand, when you went to Detroit, you wanted to create basically almost a new Black Wall Street out there, a Black business district, and you got more pushback from who?
From the Black community, from the Black overclass, and the combination of the Black overclass and the whites who had abandoned the city. And see, and the whites did intentionally practice a scorched earth policy against Detroit, starting in about the late 1950s. When they found out all of a sudden that blacks wanted to integrate, they went across 8 Mile Road because the prime land, the best land, was between the river and 8 Mile Road. They wanted to escape black folks, and what they did, they took the Highway Act of 1955, 1956 that was enacted by Eisenhower. So let's use this to build expressways all over the city, and we move so we can move everything across 8 Mile Road and build a new thing. We construct a new state out there called suburbs, and these suburbs we reinstall all of the wealth, the resources, privileges, the rights, the businesses, the industries, the factories, the wealth class, and everything into the suburb. We'll move everything out of Detroit and deplete it. And so that by the 1960s, when blacks became the predominant population and started getting a black mayor and black city council members, it was humanly impossible in theory and practice for them to be able to run a city with no wealth, because the wealth base had been moved outside the city too into the white community. And so what I was saying to him is that you can still beat them if you just construct a mental wall down 8 Mile Road, saying we don't need you, stay out there. Now that blacks are the majority population in Detroit, you got about $11 million moving back and forth between the school system and your operating budget. All you have to do is to practice Powernomics principles. That's all you have to do, Tariq. And all that city had to do was practice Powernomics principles in the city of Detroit. You got $11 billion annual operating capital. All you got to do, and the Powernomics principle says all you got to do is operate on Powernomics principles of group politics and group economics, and make your money bounce 7 to 8 times or 8 to 12 times before it leaves any hands of a black person in Detroit and moves back out to the suburbs with the whites.
Absolutely.
Because across this country, Hispanics bounce their money 6 to 7 times, white bounce their money 8 to 12 times, Arabs and Asians bounce their money 13 to 14 times, Jews bounce their money 18 times. I said, all you got to do is to bounce your money, while instead of bouncing it once in the white communities, bounce it 10 times in the city of Detroit. And instead of having a $10 billion operating budget, you will now have over a $100 billion budget. And you don't need the white community. And when I said that, the white suburbs, all that moved out to Detroit to get away from black folk, all of them jumped up and said, Dr. Adams, that's racism. You're talking about racism. Even though they were so stupid, they didn't know that a black person could not be racist in practice or theory. They said, you're practicing racism. They said, we admit that in Detroit we got a Mexican town, we got a hockey town, we got a cork town, we got a pole town, we got an Asian town, we got an Arab town, and we got a Greek town. But it'd be racist for you all to have something and exclude us out of it. And so, and the black civil rights leaders say, y'all sure is right. We don't need anything else. All we need to do is practice social integration. Just get along, like we've all been trying. Everything we've been doing since we got out of slavery. Just try to get along with everybody and love everybody. We've been looking for love in the wrong places for 150 years. Let's keep doing it.
And that black overclass, that's a very deliberate thing that they pushed on us, right?
Yeah, they do it, and I'm gonna have to jump off in about 2 or 3 minutes. But what they did, see, the black overclass is made up about basically of about 6 different sectors, and there are many exceptions to the rule, but typically it's made up of black ministers, black athletes, black entertainers, black politicians, black civil rights leaders, and black newspapers and the media. Those are the people that control things in the black community, and they get paid and rewarded and recognized to maintain the status quo. Just like whites use the Supreme Court to maintain the status quo on black folk, whites also use inside the race, they use a black overclass to make sure that those individuals are rewarded and recognized and called leaders by just simply making sure that no blacks can come up and generate anything that will attack or address the status quo on black folk in this country that's been in existence for 500 years. And that's the whole purpose of the black overclass. That's the purpose of the United States Supreme Court. And none of them ever says with the Supreme Court that why would you go to the Supreme Court that now has 1.5 so-called black person on it? You've had over 127 Supreme Court justices in the history of the nation. The first 57 were white slave owners, and the 60 since then have been white racists. Why in the world would blacks keep going to the Supreme Court and to the court system looking for justice? What they should be doing is practicing group economics through powernomics and group politics, and saying money controls everything, and start rebuilding their own businesses, building their own factories, industries, with a tax base that generate jobs, products, services, and goods for their own people. That's the only solution they got that they can work. The second thing is they got to quit talking about affirmative action, abandon first affirmative action. It will collapse without black folk being in it, and go for full reparations, which you'll hear me talking about, and I'll be going to court for the Indian Treaty enforcement of that reparations on November the 17th. In this year, on 2017, we'll be going into the United States Appeal Court in Washington, D.C. at 33 Constitutional Avenue, and then have a 9:30 in the morning be an argument on reparations through the 1866 Indian Treaty for black folk. That treaty spelled out what black folks have been getting for 100 and so years, and they haven't got a penny. And that during Obama, he wouldn't give them a penny. He went against doing anything for black folk and for the black Indians and carrying out the Indian Treaty. Yet all these blacks love Obama, and Obama took black folk back 300 years in history.
Yep. Absolutely. And people are still talking that Obama stuff, and Obama set us back heavy. Yes.
That's right. But I do love you. I got to jump off now. I hope I gave you enough information.
Brother, where can everybody get your book?
Now, what they need to do, first and foremost, they need to call. They need to go to powernomics.com and on the website, go to powernomics.com. They can get the new book called The Black History Reader, 101 Questions that you should have thought and asked, but you never did. Tell them, go get that book. That is imperative. They read that book as quickly as they possibly can.
Absolutely.
They can get that they can get it off the powernomics.com website. Also, that website, we have packages up there, Tariq, where they can get 3 books, for instance, in a powerful solution pack that you talk about. They can get the book that's called The Second Bible for Black Folk in the country. That is Black Labor, White Wealth.
Yes.
They can get Powernomics, and they can get a Black Reader for something like $60. All 3 of those books. Or for those who are really conscientious and they want to put these things, they build their own library where they never have to read another book about black folk in the history of this nation. They can get what's called a library pack. That library pack will contain 5 books: Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, Dirty Little Secrets 1, Dirty Little Secrets 2, and the Black History Reader, and a 1 hour and a half DVD to show you how to educate black kids. You can get all those in what's called a library pack. That runs $99. They can get that by going to the website. And if they can't get that, then they need to go to the what's on the black bookstores in order. But please go to the Powernomics website. Do not go, let us say, straight to Amazon. Go to the powernomicswebsite.com and get powernomics.com and get them off the website.
Perfect.
And we look to hear from them. We need to get these books out there in our hands because things are going to get worse for us real soon right now.
Yes, indeed.
If not now.
Yes, indeed. Brother, thank you so much for calling in, brother. I appreciate you, love you, respect you, and you have a good one, brother.
Okay, and now Tariq, do anything you can to direct as many people all over this country because we don't have radio stations anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard for me to get information to our people because, again, it's against the law and it violates the Constitution, the 13th and 14th Amendment, and the civil rights laws for black folk not to have any media in this country. That's the next lawsuit that's coming up. But we got to figure out how to get the information out and communicate and get black folk to start reading these books so they quit suffering from acute imposed ignorance and understand these issues as fast as they can so they can mobilize, organize, and then begin to enrich themselves economically, politically in this country.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely, I totally agree, brother. There you go. All right, thank you so much, brother Claude.
Oh, thank you. And we'll look to see how many people you drive to the web now.
Oh yeah, you about to get a whole gang of orders right now. I can promise you. So you're gonna get a bunch of them today.
Tariq, can I hold you to that?
Oh, I can almost guarantee they're gonna go on there right now. People are sharing the link in the chat room. So yeah, you about to get a lot of orders today, brother. Oh yeah.
That's why I love you, because racism is a team sport, and I got my team out there hustling to stay together as a team.
Absolutely.
Take care now, Tariq.
You be good, brother. Thank you. All right, y'all. That was Brother Claude Anderson. Let me plug my computer back up. Sorry about that. Sorry about the bugs and the pops. But yeah, that was Brother Anderson. Hold on. Wait. Can you guys hear me? Now, some people in the chat room said they were having problems hearing me. Put my Mackin music back on. There we go. Some people said they were having issues hearing me. Can y'all hear me now? We good? Oh, man, Brother Anderson be spitting that hot damn fire. There was a million questions I wanted to ask. It's been like almost an hour. And the time went by so fast. Oh, man. There was so many other questions, man. We could have been here for like 2-3 hours. I had so many questions, man. We could have been just chopping it on up. But again, that's why he has the book. That's why y'all need to go get my brother's book right now. I'm telling y'all, man, the book drops game. This brother, Claude Anderson, he's been in the political game, the sociology game. He's been in it for a minute, man. The brother knows what he's doing. That brother, they call him the man with the plan. And your brother Claude Anderson, he was in Hidden Colors 2, dropping that hot fire. But yeah, that new book, Black History Reader, is so much good information, man. So much good information. And speaking of good information, man, I hope you guys got Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at hiddencolorsfilm.com. Yeah, and my brother made a very good point, man. We don't have black media no more. The so-called black radio don't exist no more. That shit doesn't exist. There's only a handful of people. You know what? I'm going to be on my man Rock Newman's show. That's really the only, what I would say, kind of mainstream or traditional black media. I'm going to be on his show next week. They're doing a 2-hour special about the Haiti documentary. That's really the only traditional black media outlet that is giving me shine over my new movie, which is #1. The movie's been #1, and it's not even out yet. Just on pre-orders, it was #1. Sold out screenings all around the country. The hands down best documentary or even film about the history of Haiti ever. Everybody who's seen the film says this is hands down the best film about Haiti ever. And the so-called black media, Ebony, Essence, nothing. And we know why. I mean, I'm just saying I didn't expect anything, but we know why. You understand? It's all about us going back to that grassroots thing. We have to really circle our wagons, and my brother hit on some great points. Oh man, he hit on some great points about how, as far as getting black people elevated globally, going to Africa is not the answer. And I talk a lot about Africa. I feel for my brothers and sisters there, and I've been saying this lately. Africa, they're being attacked every which way but loose right now. And right now, it's Coon City all over Africa. Let's just keep it 100. I was arguing with some people on Twitter yesterday who was from Zimbabwe, and they kissing white ass and, talking shit about Mugabe so they can get brownie points from white mommy, white daddy. It's Coon Fest over in Africa right now. We're going to be very honest. They're being dominated all over the place. So we are black Americans. We are the ones who are going to be at the forefront of global black empowerment. We have to understand that. We're the ones that's going to have to put in a lot of the work and do the heavy lifting. We think that some random African leader is going to make something happen. No, because a lot of the leaders over there are puppet leaders. They're put in place by the white supremacists. They're being colonized or recolonized over there as we speak. And all the resources are being drained. And Obama helped militarize the forces over there against the Africans. And what's interesting, they over there praising Obama. They don't know that Obama helped put the military back over there. We are the leaders as Black Americans. We're the ones who are going to have to be at the forefront. So we're going to have to take that. We're going to have to take that and accept that. We're going to have to be the ones standing up and making things happen. That's why we got to get on our grind. We got to stop this old bummy and high shit that we got over here. Motherfuckers just want to get high, be bummy, and be moist. That shit is for the birds, man. These white supremacists are mobilizing. These white supremacists are losing their minds now. You just had, Richard Spencer did a speech where they shot at some more people. Some people were arrested because some of Richard Spencer's folks shot at some folks down there in Florida, I think. Another white supremacist just killed his own dad recently. His name is Lane something. I forgot his name. There's another white supremacist march that they're planning in Tennessee this weekend. So these white supremacists are mobilizing, family. And it's us over here. We got to be on our grind. We got to be alert. We got to be on top of our game, because it's us who's going to have to stand up and break down white supremacy terrorism. Because we're the only ones that's really challenging it. All these other groups, they're not challenging white supremacy. They're trying to be team white supremacy, even though white supremacy is whooping their asses. Look at Puerto Rico. White supremacy, they are shitting on Puerto Rico, and these Puerto Ricans out here still thinking that they're Spanish. All these other groups, man, they're trying to be lapdogs for white supremacy. They want to maintain white supremacy and get their little bullshit kibbles and bits. So it's up to us, just like Claude Anderson said, it's up to us to really be the leaders here as a group. And he made a very good point how it was Jewish people in America that helped Jewish people worldwide. Not over there in Europe. The ones in Europe couldn't do anything. It was the ones over here really stepping up and making it happen. We got to have that same mentality because we have the most resources. We have all these athletes out here. We have all these entertainers out here. So we got to have that code. Right now, and I wanted to, when Brother Anderson was on the phone, I wish I could have talked about the NFL. Oh, there was so much stuff I wanted to talk about. There's so much stuff I wanted to talk about, and I'm glad he pointed out how Obama did nothing. Obama set us back. Black folks still don't want to accept that. We gotta, black people, we have to accept wins and we have to accept losses. Obama was a loss for us. That was a loss because we didn't get anything tangible out of it. It was a loss. I had Negroes tell me or argue with me about what Obama has done, and when you point out that Obama has really done nothing and not given nothing to black people, I have heard Negroes say Obama did give us something. I said, what? Obama gave us hope. I've heard niggas with a straight fucking face say that stupid shit on more than one occasion. You sound like a damn hood rat. That's hood rat talk. That's what hood rats who get fucked at 2 a.m. be saying. I hope I'm gonna give him some pussy and hope that nigga call me. That's low self-esteem hood rat talk. I swear to God, niggas with a straight fucking face said Obama gave us something. He gave us some hope. You dumb bastards who think like that. You dig? Obama was useless. And we don't want to be honest about that. We got to be honest about our wins and honest about our losses, and we can't keep waiting on symbolic bullshit. We got to be in the tangible game. We got to start being on our tangible game. We need tangible resources in order to empower ourselves, because these white supremacists are using their resources to subjugate us. Like I mentioned earlier, the NRA, they got like some insurance that they have if you kill somebody. they have this murder insurance where if you kill somebody, they use all types of code words saying if you kill an intruder, if you kill somebody who's threatening you, and these are code words meaning if a white person kills a black person, it's all coded language, but that's what it means. So if you're a white person who kills a Negro and you buy the insurance that we have, we'll take care of your legal fees. You can get a little cushion money as a payout. So they're getting their money together. Now, some people say, well, can black folks get that insurance? They won't pay that shit out. If a black person kills a white person, they're not going to honor no policy like that. The NRA wouldn't even acknowledge Philando Castile getting executed by practicing his Second Amendment rights. The NRA will not even speak out against that. So we know where their mindset is. They've always had an anti-black policy. So we need to stop being fooled by these politicians. That's why I really wish I could have got into more political talk with Brother Anderson. Right now, they're trying to get this Kamala Harris lady. They're trying to push her out there. We shouldn't fall for her. There's a stench of bedwenchery going on with her. She ain't gonna do nothing. She's a con. No. And the Democrats, they're not really putting any real viable people out there to counter Trump. The Democrats, for some reason, they're not smart enough to put somebody out here that can really counter Trump's bullshit. They think, well, the bar is so low, they can put anybody out there. No, we'll let a motherfucker like Trump win again if you don't put somebody out here tangible who's going to bring some tangible benefits for black people. We'll let Trump destroy this shit if you're not going to put somebody out here who's going to do something tangible for us. You dig? So we got to get off that symbolic bullshit and circle our wagons and be about that economic game, family. Anyway, y'all, that's been today's episode of Tariq Radio. Go to 1804movie.com, pre-order the DVD, 1804movie.com. The best documentary of the year. I'm not saying that because it's my film. I'm saying that because the family is saying that. Shout out to everybody in DC. I'm going to be in Washington, DC next week with my man Rock Newman. I'm going to be on his show. We're going to do a 2-hour special about 1804. They're giving me a lot of love. We're going to chop it up real heavy. Shout out to everybody who participated in the film. Shout out to Brother Kaba. He was out there in New York at the screening. Shout out to Brother James Small. He was out there. I'm kind of tired right now. I'm doing the juice cleanse. I'm doing the 3-day juice cleanse. That's why I sound a little weak. If I do sound weak, I might sound normal. I'm hungry than a motherfucker right now because I'm doing that juice cleanse from pressed juice. That's why my mouth sounds dry, but I'm making it happen. Shout out to everybody who went to Raleigh. Shout out to everybody. Much love to the people in the UK, even though I got a fucked up haircut out there in the UK. Even though an African dude, speaking of Africa, an African brother fucked my head all the way up, nigga. He had me looking like Caillou. I mean, he fucked me up big time. And I'm going to say it again. My African brothers, I love you, but y'all can't cut hair for shit. When y'all get over here, I don't know how y'all get in these barbershops. You must have a friend or a cousin who's just letting you work there so you can have a place of employment on paper. There's no way some of y'all motherfuckers are getting licenses the way y'all fuck people's heads up. But I love you. Much respect to you. Go eat some protein. Somebody said I look like Lil Bill. Oh, I saw those memes y'all bastards were posting on my ass too. I saw all those janky ass memes y'all were clowning me, but it's all right. I'm gonna get my hair cut this week. I'm still letting it grow back halfway to normal so I can get it shaped up and fly. The return of the Mac will be back. Anyway, y'all, let me get up out of here, man. Go to hiddencolorsfilm.com. Go to 1804movie.com. Get your Ogun shirts at TariqElite.com, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm a holla. You guys have a good one.
DJ Academics. This is shameful behavior right here, my boy. Yeah, you should definitely be ashamed of the topic that we talking about today, Academics. You done really up and done it this time. So Academics is making headlines right now for an absolutely egregious reason, right? I seen on Twitter a little while ago that this video of DJ Academics on Discord talking to a 15-year-old named Norg, and the conversation is nothing short of baffling. Now, I'm not gonna do a whole lot of talking right here at the intro. Instead, I'm just gonna go ahead and play the clip and let y'all see what I'm talking about.
Yo, Nor, what's your address? I'm gonna send some strippers over there.
Slow down, yo. I am 15. I hope you know that, bro. You trying to
Oh, you
get?
scared of women, bro.
I'm not scared of women. Yo, bro, you trying to put me on a case? You trying to put them on a case?
So?
What you mean? So that's weird.
Trying to look out. You know all the rappers lost their virginity to like old women, right? Like,
all right, so what we got going on right here is like a group Discord call, right? You can see all of the different users' profiles on screen. Up in the top left is this Norg kid. DJ Academics, I believe, is right below him. Now, I don't know if this was an Academics Discord server or somebody else's server, but I'm pretty sure it was an Academics server. And right off the bat, you can hear the people in this server asking some inappropriate questions like, what's your address so I can send some strippers to your house? That was said to this kid right here who doesn't look a day older than 13 than me. Now, Academics hasn't said nothing yet, but don't hold your breath because he's about to say something and it doesn't get any better from here.
Shit.
Wait, hold on. So you tell me that there's not another 15-year-old that you could bust down?
Yo, bro.
Yo, like, I'm serious.
I mean, like I said, it's a baffling conversation. Like, Academics, what the fuck are you talking about, bruh? Are you really sitting on Discord having a conversation with a 15-year-old about who he can bust down? This is absolutely egregious. But wait, there's more.
So there's not another 15-year-old you could bust down?
you go to school?
All right, imagine. So if you could do one of them sex changes and you could become a girl.
No.
And get pregnant.
That's what he drew the line. He said no.
Would you let Max get you pregnant?
No. That would be gay.
And if Max said he wanted to try fucking a dude, would you let him fuck you?
No.
Why not?
What the fuck? Are y'all hearing the same audio clip that I'm hearing right now? Did Academics just ask this kid if his homie wanted to smash, if this kid would let him? Is that what I'm hearing correctly coming through this video? Academics, I don't know what you got going on in your personal life and in your head, bro, but this right here is not a good look. All you have to do on Discord is interact with your fans. It is not hard not to groom one of your fans. For normal people, not having these type of conversations with kids is easy, but you, for whatever reason, seem to be struggling with it a bit. I don't know if y'all thought that it was funny, it was a joke, but looking at this from a parental point of view, right, which is my point of view, if that was my daughter on live stream right there and you were talking to my daughter that way, no cap, bro, I would be pressing charges on you. This is absolutely crazy behavior for a grown ass man to be exhibiting. Part of me feels like this has to be fake in some kind of way, bro, but I'm almost certain that it's not. The only defense that you would have though to this type of behavior happening is that it's AI or it's fake or something like that, bro, because there is no other reason under the sun why you should be having a conversation like this with a minor.
Yeah. You can have. Wait.
If I can't fuck you, I'm cutting you off.
No, yo. Suppose he's like, yo, bro. Listen, yo, you always wanted me to be next to you. Now I could be inside of you. Pause.
Yo, I'm not gay.
You suck a dick though.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the heck with this.
Now it's paused, right?
I ain't gonna lie, man. Watching this kind of infuriates me. Akademiks, this is a kid, bro. An actual child that you are talking to right here. And it's not just you, it's the people that are with you too in your Discord. You're allowing them to do it as well. Bro, Akademiks, you gotta come out. You gotta say this is fake. You ain't got no other choice, bro. Because there's no way you could actually be this dumb. Watching this actually really irritates the shit out of me right now.
Hey, nigga, you drinking LeBron this year? What?
Wait. Nora, would you drink a PBM juice?
Hell yes. If PBM drops a juice, I'm drinking it. What?
I suppose he drops a milk flavored juice. You drink it?
Yeah, his milk would probably be the better.
No, milk flavored juice. What are we talking about with your little ass? Nigga, still drinking titty milk, nigga?
Yo, if Max got a sister and she threw you the box, would you smash her?
He already has a sister.
Alright, if she threw you the box, would you smash?
No, because I'm 15.
What that mean?
What does that mean?
She's above 18.
What that mean?
Okay, what does that mean?
It will be grooming.
It'll be what?
Grooming.
That has nothing to do with you.
Nah, imagine.
Oh, yo, you ever dream about Max before?
I have, yes. Not in no weird way.
Yo, what the fuck?
I dreamt of us coming to Malaysian meeting. I dreamt of.
Oh, y'all on a vacation. Holy.
I dreamt of him adopting.
You and him in Malaysia.
Yeah, I dreamt of him adopting me.
Yo, that's crazy.
Now, I don't know who Max is or who this Max is that they're referring to, but clearly this kid is trying to explain to Akademiks like, oh yeah, I look up to whoever this Max person is, and I did have a dream about him adopting me. He's pretty much saying like I have a vision of this person being a father figure to me, and Akademiks and them is talking about him drinking his juice and all of the other things that have been said during this stream right here that they had on Discord, bro. What the fuck is wrong with Akademiks? Somebody let me know in the comments what's wrong with this dude, bro. This is some top tier weirdo behavior, because this abusive, that's what I'm gonna call it, abusive type of behavior is like a pattern for DJ Akademiks at this point. We're seeing him interact with kids like this. We've seen the way that he interacts with women, right? We've seen him like put his hands on them. We've seen him go on live stream and talk crazy about SZA. I mean, at this point, it is a pattern of behavior for Akademiks to abuse his position. I mean, bro is on here talking like he is auditioning for the next episode of To Catch a Predator. This man gets on live stream and talks about how other rappers are slipping all day just to get caught slipping on a live stream himself. I mean, if this went to court, I don't even know how Akademiks would defend this type of behavior right here. Bro calls himself a big act, but the only thing big here is this L that he's taking right now. Shit is actually crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Now, when it comes to who this Max guy is, again, I don't know who they were talking about in the stream, but that kid clearly was trying to explain he looked up to that person as a father figure, while Akademiks was giving his inappropriate line of commentary. And I seen some people say that they thought it was Plaque Boy Max that they were talking about. So I did see this clip right here of Plaque Boy Max actually talking about this situation, and here's what he had to say about it.
Now, I'm not going through this shit. I'm not, because these clips are nasty. It's bad work, nasty work. And today's a great stream, and I'm not bringing it down with this weird energy. This shit is very weird. I talked to Nora. Nora is good to make sure bro was good. I'm not gonna go through this shit. But once again, I didn't want to hide it in the comm either. I didn't want to hide it in the comm because it's like, then it's like, it looks like I'm hiding this shit when I'm not trying to hide it. It's not some shit I want to give light to. You get what I'm saying? Niggas was joking around in the cord, you know, but it's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird, and I don't fuck with it. And I would appreciate it if you don't do that type of shit with my little bro. You know what I'm saying? He not my little bro, but you feel me? Like, that shit not cool. That shit not cool. And kids, if you ever in like discords, you feel me, where it's like niggas joking around with you, you get what I'm saying? Like, just make sure you separate yourself from those situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's what he had to say about it. And, you know, I ain't got a whole lot more to say about it other than y'all know how I feel. This is disgusting behavior. It needs to be addressed. And the people, not just academics, but the other people that were in there with him, bro, they need to be held accountable for this activity right here. And again, I know people gonna say, oh, they was just joking around in the Discord and blah, blah, blah. But look, bro, you got to look at it. If that was your kid, son or daughter, and they had a moment to game and talk to one of their favorite entertainers or influencers, and they got into a conversation with them, and this is the type of conversation they was having, how would you feel about it if it was your kid? Because that's how I'm looking at it from a parental point of view, bro. This is foul, disgusting, nasty activity. And yeah, man, that's where I'm gonna leave it at. Y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about it in the comments down below. Anyways, that's basically it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. As always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.
Which is funny how almost every foreigner has something to say badly about African Americans. Even Africans sometimes have to say about African Americans, but then everybody comes to America trying to be African American.
I'm gonna speak for my whole country. Love Jamaica, but I think quite a few Jamaicans think that you guys play the victim a lot. Like an outsider looking in, it's like, gosh, them complain about everything. Look how much opportunity them have. Look how them can work. Look how them can buy $1 burger. And them over there complain. And that is how I was preconditioned, if I'm being totally honest. They're like, Shante,
it makes sense.
Yeah, don't go over there and waste the opportunity. Don't go over there and start complaining. Work for your own, focus on that. So that's always been my mindset. We're so focused on just making it. I really want to emphasize that. But sometimes when you just are focused on, oh, you go eat, you know, think say somebody a touch you. You know, think say, you know, oh, I'm not have the right temperature. I'm hungry. What y'all gonna do? Like,
the way how African Americans prioritize blackness isn't necessarily the same way in which an immigrant would prioritize their blackness. So, you know how African Americans would say, oh, black writer, black creator, black artist, black lawyer, black doctor, black woman in STEM. No, when we come to this country, it's immigrant or nationality. Maybe our careers next, and then whatever else comes after that. So immigrant, Jamaican, marketer, whatever else comes after that. The issue that you're having is we don't see ourselves as one of you. And the reason that we don't see ourselves as one of you is not because of blackness. We just see ourselves as an outsider.
The issue that you're having is we don't see ourselves as one of you. And the reason that we don't see ourselves as one of you is not because of blackness. We just see ourselves as an outsider.
So now let's move forward. So as an immigrant, I'm here in this country. What do I want to do? Put my best foot forward. What do my parents want to do? Put their best foot forward and give us the best opportunity they possibly can. Thank you, Lord, for my parents, because they did exactly that. But it's my turn as their child to hold the baton. And one thing I always say, my parents did not risk their lives to get to America for me to get involved in some political warfare. My parents did not risk their lives for me to get to America, for me to sit here fighting people all day. That makes absolutely no sense. And I think because you guys have never taken that level of a risk, you don't understand that level of responsibility and accountability. That's really the problem here. Because if you really risk your lives to have something, if you really risk your life to get something, you're not willing and ready to throw it away.
Just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it. How was that see you in 30? That wasn't an insult. That was strictly you're black. You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not word. You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican. You're not Puerto Rican. You're not Cuban. You are American.
I farted so loud. Black Americans people, I don't like them because they take lots of drugs.
Really, that's what I think. But have you met any Black Americans in real life?
No, like in the movies. I didn't meet them.
Now, what do you think about the Black American culture?
Fucked up. I'm sorry. Is it like
Okay, the fucked up humanity group that's Black Americans, yeah. And I actually feel bad for saying that. It's true, I know it's true.
Now, why do you believe that?
Because they mostly don't belong where they are. They're Americans. We all know they're Americans. They know they're Americans, but they don't belong there because they are minor. One for that, they are minor, and the racism and everything. They don't belong there actually. So they belong here, and they are not here. So they are fucked up.
That's really interesting.
I have no idea.
So I had this tweet by McBeanie _ and they said African Americans are by far the worst representation of Black people. They are obnoxious, self-righteous assholes that make people's lives a living hell anywhere they go. And then she got like 390 likes.
Is she also Black?
No, I don't know what she was. But this is what she said. Yeah.
Wow. That's really a lot of hate, I feel like. But like my mom would agree with that comment. She would agree with that post. She would say like, you know, lazy, like loud, rude, all the negative connotations.
That's interesting. So let's explore that.
That's really interesting.
But I also will say that like my parents definitely came over here with stereotypes about African Americans.
When Africans are immigrating to the United States, their idea of African Americans, like, take away modern times where we have like the internet and everything, it's coming from TV, right? Where they're just seeing these rappers and these music videos, and you're seeing these movies and TV shows with people shooting guns and like cussing.
Ignorance from our parents as well. Our parents say things to us in which, at least I can't speak for African Americans, but I know Africans, our parents say things to try to get us to stick with other Africans instead of branching out, and for that festered. So now it just lives on as we get older.
So I agree with her in that aspect, but also another thing I feel like isn't talked about enough is the way our parents will talk about Black Americans. Because if we're being honest with ourselves, our parents are not respectful. They will say things to try to instill within us to divide away from them, but like being lazy or not as clean or stuff like that. And I feel like that also helps perpetuate the divide, which also needs to be acknowledged.
Okay, so growing up, I had this ideology from the media, from people around me, that African Americans were these ghetto, noisy, arrogant, aggressive, just criminal.
So I think this was the intent of my elders as they reminded me to stay away from akatas. Akata is a derogatory term for African Americans. I didn't understand why at the time, because I knew nothing about propaganda, media, or anything else we'll discuss today.
It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here. It's my great-grandfather on my father's side that wasn't born here.
How does one know that they're foundational Americans? A few years back, did an ancestral so I had just did on my father's side, right? But in doing all of this, and I'm going to tell you, it traced back to Guyana, right?
Okay, right.
So I had just did on my father's side, right? And I'm going to tell you, it traced back to Guyana.
We can trace back to
my family suffered from redlining and all that type of shit, because I know how you feel about like Jamaicans that come here right now, this generation, and they're able to get loans. My family didn't go through that. My family didn't get all that when they came here. We lived as regular Black people. So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That would not, if they came over and they immigrated, because your family came from immigrants. They immigrated over here, and you can
Ellis Island.
Because your family came from immigrants. They immigrated over here, and you can Ellis Island.
Right.
I know the boat.
That's very different, because you can't get a reparations claim
like that.
Because you can't get a reparations claim like that.
And it's very important to not mix it up.
But now keep in mind, this is just my father's side.
I understand that.
We all have two sides now. My mother's side, I ain't traced that yet.
Y'all would know who the southern side of her family was. So if y'all don't know, that means she's from the Caribbean. So I can understand that you don't know your dad. That's one thing. And your mom didn't tell you where your grandmother was from? Your mom didn't say shit? She had to come from somewhere, either immigrated from another country or came from the South. If she's black, right? It's just find out where your parents are from and where your grandparents are from. Your grandmother, if you knew your grandmother has a birth certificate, brother. Look at the birth certificate and see where she was born. And then see what her mother and father's name was. It's on the birth certificate. And then see where they were born. You trace it back like that. And if you can go all the way back to the 1870 census, that make you a foundational black American. All you got to do is just trace the parents back. Okay, some of these folks, you don't know where your mama's really from. Okay, like my mom's from New York. We kind of lost, and then, okay. But folks, okay. I don't know how y'all don't be knowing where your mama from. And you don't know your mama's side of the family. At least I can understand the dad's side might be a little sketchy, but you don't know your mama's side of the family? See, that raises red flags. That raises a lot of red flags when folks don't be knowing what their mama's side of the family is. All right? That's all right? That's weird.
Hello, YouTube. It's LA Thorn once again. Now, there's a recent case, actually two I want to bring up. Two recent cases of self-defense. One is the name of Kyle Rittenhouse, which a lot of people on the left and the right are either celebrating or up in arms about. Now, what I find really puzzling is those on the left, which includes Jason Black, which you claim to be a independent black media or the black media, which I find real funny because you're claiming that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist. My guy. Out of the people he shot and killed, or even shot, how many of them and which ones were black? I'll wait. As you'll find out, zero, my guy. If you bother to actually watch the video, which you probably didn't. Again, according to Wisconsin law, as I will even show you here on my laptop. Not sure if this is being seen completely, but in case it wasn't, I'll read it out to you. It says, under Wisconsin statutes and annotations 29.304, restrictions on hunting and use of firearms by persons under 16 years of age. Section B, restriction on possession or control of a firearm. No person 14 years of age or older, but under 16 of age may have in his or her possession or control of a firearm unless he is accompanied by his parent or guardian or by a person of at least 18 years of age who is designated by the parent or guardian, is enrolled in the course of instruction under the Hunter Education Program as carrying the firearm in a case and unloaded unloaded to or from that class, or is handling or operating the firearm during that class under the supervision of an instructor, or is issued a certification of accomplishment that states that he or she successfully completed the course of instruction under the Hunter Education Program, or has a similar certificate, license, or other evidence satisfactory to the department that he is or she is successfully completed in another state, country, or province a Hunter Education course recognized by the department. Now, what age was Kyle at the time he was involved in that shooting? He wasn't 16, wasn't 15, wasn't 14 or 13. He was 17. Now, the judge, rightfully so, threw that charge out because it wasn't applicable. Now, Jason, it's quite clear you're a fraud. You're not independent. You're not even, well, you could be called black media, but calling yourself the only source for black media is rather pretentious and rather quite dumb of you, because there are other black people in media that have gotten it wrong just like you, and also, unlike you, got it right. See, funny thing is, one of the callers that you had try explaining this to you, that you are misinformed because you mistakenly had believed the agreed upon lie that the mainstream media, the left, white media, mind you, sold you. You bought that. You're going to take this fucking L, man. You took this L. You're going to have to take this L, man. Now, you can call myself and another caller that tried to explain to about a coon, right? Well, your caller did, evidently. Saying that just because he's from New York, he will be able to defeat white supremacy. Quite frankly, there's a whole bunch of people on the right, including myself, that even if we are presented to go on your communist side or go on the quote-unquote Nazi side, a lot of us, including myself, will become Laurie Torneys. If you don't know who that guy is, you may know him under Larry Thorne. Ask any Green Beret about Larry Thorne, and they will tell you all about the man who fought in 3 different armies just to kill communists, including not only the Nazis, the Finnish army, and the Green Berets. Now, given this little history lesson, let's continue with it a little bit. Now, you think, seriously, in a race war, you dysfunctional black B1s stand any kind of a chance against whites? You're sadly mistaken. It's going to be a bloodbath on your side, because there's going to come a time and place that those white people won't be tolerating your shit anymore. And if Kyle Rittenhouse is any kind of an idea, you're in for some shit. Now, the other case, Andrew Coffey IV. Funny enough, you didn't talk about this guy. I kind of figured you might. Reason why I say this is because back in 2017, he was the subject of a drug raid, a SWAT raid. SWAT as fucking dog busting the door down, arresting the guy for drugs, not only possession, but also drug, dealing. Well, he decided to have a shootout with those cops. As a result of that, his girlfriend, unfortunately, got caught up in the crossfire and lost her life. Funny thing is, Mr. Coffee used self-defense. Who else used self-defense? Kyle Rittenhouse. Just like Kyle, Andrew Coffey, bear in mind, was black, got off on those murder charges. 4 of them. The only charge he couldn't escape, and quite frankly, I don't think he should be charged with, is a firearms charge. But other than that, you ain't talking about Andrew Coffey. I even went on a radio station, another guy, another podcast, that talking about the same exact shit. Black guy. Another black guy, Tommy Sotomayor. He was talking about it. Now, explain to me, why aren't you holding up that example? Reason why is because you're just in it for the fucking grift, just like fucking Tim Black. And Tim Black, got another message for you. Watch the fucking video. Watch the fucking video and put yourself in Kyle's shoes. But then again, you'll probably be like the prosecutor and try to Alec Baldwin the goddamn fucking, jury. Meanwhile, man. All I got to say is that the Black Authority, Tim Black, if you think that you're dealing with white supremacy now, oh my God, you have no idea what's coming down the pike, if you even know. This is L.A. Thorne signing off. And one last thing. Reset race. You're going to be paying a whole shit of taxes if you ever get reparations. And just to let you know now, modern monetary theory ain't gonna save you. You're dealing with it right fucking now. Modern monetary theory is causing inflation and prices to go up. So, what makes you think that increasing this effect is going to lessen it? Anyway, you're better off getting your own bag, building up your own business, and go on. Have a nice life, have a nice family, settle down with someone stable. But it's going to be kind of hard when the black culture, the black community is continued to be consumed with death. You guys celebrate people who die in a violent death, getting shot by other blacks. You don't appreciate the living. You make fun of the old. Anyway.
What's good? Now in hood, the pronunciation would be, what's good? But then if I say, bro, you tripping, dog? my tone and my voice completely brings out a different kind of meaning for this specific phrase. Now you was tripping, dog. You tripping, dog. Yeah. Yeah, boy. Run me my hood. This is the most requested topic on Instagram, TikTok, and at the same exact time, YouTube. In today's video, I'm actually going to show you guys how to understand people here in the United States, how they speak hood, and also how to speak it yourself. I'm also going to show you different variations and different techniques, different phrases, and different word choices that people here in America actually speak. Today, we're diving deep in hoodology. Now before I begin, I want you guys to understand that here in the United States, like I said before in the previous video, we have 50 states. Within those 50 states, there are different variations of English. Today I'm actually going to show you a specific variation of hood that is within the area where I live. I live in the DMV area. The DMV stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, the slang terms are a little bit different. So for example, if you go into Maryland, cities like Baltimore has a different variation of its hood. When you go to DC itself, DC also has its own variation of hood itself. And at the same time, Virginia also has a different kind of variation of hood. But today I'm actually going to just show you guys the DMV accent in general and show you guys exactly the type of hood that is spoken here in the DMV. Now the thing that I want you guys to understand is that hood is just a sublet from AAVE. For example, we have standard English. This is English that is taught in every country in the world. This is the same English that is being spoken in every single country in the world. Now, although we have standard English, we have different variations of standard English. We have American English, and we also have UK English. UK English has its own way of pronouncing words, wherein America also has its own way of pronouncing words as well too. American accent is completely different from the UK accent. Like in my previous video, I gave this illustration where, for example, in America, the word water will be pronounced as water. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing with hood. Hood is a sublet from AAVE. AAVE, like I said before, stands for African American Vernacular English. And hood is just a dialect that derives directly from AAVE. And so today, I'm going to show you how to speak hood. Let's jump right in. Number 1, hood idioms. The first phrase is run me my fade. Run me my fade. Now this is how you would say it in hood. Run me my fade. Run me my fade. Run me my fade. Now before I show you exactly how to say it, let me explain the meaning of this specific phrase. The meaning is when someone actually wants to settle conflict or fight. This could be physical fighting. It could also be used in terms of playing a game. Like let's say if I'm playing a game with my friend and I'm trying to beat him, I would say, yo, hey bro, run me my fade, man. Run me my fade. Meaning that let's settle this conflict right now in the game. I hope that makes sense. Now let me show you exactly how you would pronounce this phrase. For the word run, instead of saying run, you will say run. Run. Like R-U-H. Run. Now me would be run me. Instead of saying me, like M-E, M-I. Me. So let's try it again with run. Run. Me. Run. Me. My. Now my, instead of saying my like my with M-Y, it would be my as in M-A. My. With a little bit of a slanted I at the end. My. Run me my. Run me my. Fade. Instead of saying fade, you would say fade. Fade. Run me my fade. Run me my fade. So you see that? So now if you're saying it really, really fast, it'll be like, hey bro, run me my fade. Hey bro, run me my fade. Hey bro, run me my fade. You see what I just did right there? Practice that. Number 2, on the block. Now the meaning of this phrase is, it refers to hanging out in a specific area or a specific spot in the neighborhood. Like, hey bro, we on the block. Meaning that we are at this specific location. Hey, pull up to the block. Meaning that come to this specific location. You see what I'm saying? On the block. Now the way you would pronounce this phrase would be on a block. On a block. on the block, but you barely hear the TH in the word the. So instead of saying on the block, on the block. So it becomes on, block. On a block. We on a block. We on the block. So the TH becomes n. It creates the n sound. On the block. On the block. Try that. Number 3. Throw shade. Throw shade. Now the meaning of this is to make an insult or to make a subtle comment about someone in an indirect way. For example, this is exactly how it would be used in a sentence. She ain't even say it directly to me, bruh. She was low-key throwing shade to me. She ain't even say it directly to me, bruh. She was low-key throwing shade. She throwing shades. You see? Now this is exactly how you would pronounce it. She throwing shades. She throwing. Throwing. You don't say throwing. Okay? Don't say throwing. Don't say the full word. You will say throwing. Thaw, thaw, thaw. Like you're making a th sound. Thaw, thaw. Like thong. Thong, thong. She thawing. Thawing. Then you bring the ing in. Thawing. Thawing. She throwing shades. Say it faster. She throwing shades. She throwing shades. There you go. Number 4. Catch these hands. Catch these hands. Now the meaning of this is a way to say let's engage in some kind of battle or let's fight. You know what I'm saying? That's another way to say let's fight. Bro, I know you ain't trying to catch these hands, Mo. I know you ain't trying to catch these hands. So when somebody says, I know you ain't trying to catch these hands, what they're saying is, I know you don't want to fight with me. I know you don't want to see how I am on the battlefield. I know you ain't trying to catch these hands. Catch these hands sounds very similar to standard English. There really isn't a way to actually pronounce it. But once you develop your accent and you develop the hood accent, it will come out smoothly. I know you ain't trying to catch these hands. I know you ain't trying to catch these hands. The way I say hands, I don't say, I know you ain't trying to catch these hands. So you notice I don't say hands. I say hands. You have to understand in the American accent, the letter A itself has a different sound. Like I explained in my previous video. I explained that it has this A type of sound. A sound. Instead of me saying, I know you ain't trying to catch these hands, I am saying, I know you ain't trying to catch these hands. Hands. Now that was the first segment into hoodology. Now in this specific segment, I'm actually going to talk about double negatives. Let me show you exactly what double negatives are and let me explain exactly what it means. And then I'm going to give you examples of how double negatives are used in various sentences. Double negatives is a grammatical construction where 2 negative words or elements are used in one sentence. In standard English, this would actually result to a positive meaning because the negatives cancel each other out. Now here are some common negative words. No, not, never, none, nothing, nobody, and ain't. These are the common negative words that are used in a double negative. For example, a double negative statement would be, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. To say I don't know and then to also say nothing is a double negative. So in standard English, the proper way to actually say it would be I don't know anything. And when you say I don't know anything, you're actually speaking correct. But in hood, it's absolutely different. Here are some different examples to show you. I don't want nothing from you, which means I don't want anything from you. Ain't nobody got time for that, which means nobody has time for that. She ain't never been there before, which means she has never been there before. He don't know nothing about it, which means he doesn't know anything about it. They ain't said nothing all day. They haven't said anything all day. I ain't never seen nobody like that. I have never seen anyone like that. Now those are what we call double negatives. So you will usually hear a lot of Americans use those kinds of phrases. The third segment is intonation and rhythm. If you take a look at this statement, what's good? What's good? Now in hood, the pronunciation would be what's good? What's good? So it goes from what's good to was good. You don't hear the D. Good. There's no D. Good. No D. What's good? Hey, what's good, fam? What's good, dog? What's good, bruh? You see? What's good? Now, what's good, on the other hand, can have various meaning. What's good can actually mean something that's positive, like, hey, how you doing, man? What's good? That's one meaning. Another meaning could mean like, what's good? You notice my tone? The moment I say what's good, what am I referring to? Like, are you trying to catch these hands? Do you want to fight? Like, what's up? You see, the same phrase can have various meaning depending on your tone and your pitch. Depending on how high the tone is, or depending on how low the pitch is, it can have various different kinds of meaning. So I could be like, what's good? Which means I'm really angry and I'm trying to fight. Or, what's good, bro? Which means, how you been? What's good? Which means I'm really, really excited and anticipated to see how you are doing. Another example is this specific phrase, I bet. I'd bet. Now, in standard English, it would be pronounced I'd bet. But in hood, it's I bet. I bet. I bet. Which can have various meanings. Various different kinds of meanings. It could mean let's go. It could mean say less. Say less means no problem. Say no more. I get it. I understand. I bet can actually mean various things. So for example, if somebody says, hey Collins, let's get up and let's go to the mall. And I say, I bet, meaning, okay bro, I understand what you just said. Let's get up and let's go to the mall. You see, it has various meaning. Even with that same exact statement, it could also mean different things depending on your pitch, your tone, or your rhythm, in terms of how you're basically speaking. So if somebody says, you trying to catch these hands? I bet. Different meaning. That doesn't mean let's get up and let's go to the mall. That means, yeah, I'm ready for what's up. Whatever you got going on, bro, I'm down for it, bro. Yeah, let's go. You see? Different kind of meaning. Another example would be, look at this phrase, you tripping. You tripping. Now, tripping, on the other hand, means if somebody's acting a little bit weird, acting a little bit crazy, out of balance, out of place. That's the meaning of the phrase, you tripping. Now, you tripping can be used in various different kinds of ways. Like, bruh, she's just tripping, bruh. She tripping for no reason, man. Meaning that she's actually tripping for no reason. Like, she's actually acting out of balance for no reason, but it's not that serious. But then if I say, bruh, you tripping, dog, my tone and my voice completely brings out a different kind of meaning for this specific phrase. So it doesn't mean something that's calm or cool. It means like, what's up? You tripping. Now you was tripping, dog. You tripping, dog. Yeah. Yeah, boy. Yeah. You see? Completely different meaning. So I'm going to stop it right here. I hope you guys really learned something completely different today. If you guys want to learn more about hood and dive deep into it, go ahead and comment down part 2 for this, and I'll be sure to make some more. Comment down your favorite. Tell me exactly what you like about hood. Tell me exactly what you want to learn about hood. Give me more details so I can put together more different videos for you guys. That way you guys can actually learn. I'm also in the process of actually working on an actual course that will teach you American English in greater detail. Now, this is going to be separate from my YouTube videos. It's going to be something that's even more in depth. I'm looking forward to launching it before the ending of this year. So definitely stay tuned. And if you're definitely interested for the course, it's not necessarily going to be free. It's also going to be very affordable that everybody can purchase. So, you guys have to really be able to support me so I can be able to put more videos like this out there for you guys. So I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. You know what I'm saying? So that every time I drop another video, you will not miss this. Stay tuned. Stay blessed. Thank you. Peace out.
Man, this is not some beef I'm having with him. I just think you calling us names and calling me out, I'm like, I did you a favor. I tried. Yeah. And then you doing that, and so you backstabbing me? What the kind of friend is that?
Yo, what's up? This bruh, man, from the 5th floor.
and you tuned in to Forgotten Kings TV.
It's ridiculous. Like, before we bring Professor Dave, here's my thing. Man, let me Professor Dave. Before he even get here.
A few minutes later.
Dave, why you are against what he believes? How about that?
Yeah, Flat Earth is the dumbest hoax in human history. Jamar just watched some videos by Eric Dubé, who just spews a bunch of bullshit, memorized what he says, and repeats it and pretends to be intelligent. Instead, everything you say is so insanely stupid and can be disproven with, like, middle school level physics.
Really?
So, yeah, we can go ahead and you can rattle off your debate talking points.
Do you have a working model of a ball that has water sticking to the outside of it? Can you show me a working model of that?
A tennis ball.
Yes, wet. And that, but no. That's not water sticking to a ball. That's saturation of water on the ball.
So
I want you to show me where water sticks to the outside of a ball as it spins. It doesn't go to the equator of the ball and spin off.
I heard what you said.
Show me a working model.
The reason that things stick to the Earth is because the Earth is extremely massive, so it generates a very large gravitational field. When water falls off of a ball, whatever ball you're talking about, to the Earth, it's because of the large gravitational field exerted by the Earth. So when you're talking about water sticking to a ball, your desired demonstration of gravity fails because gravity exists.
No.
Things fall to the ground.
There is density and buoyancy, sir. Gravity is not some magical thing that makes things drop to the ground. It depends the medium that it is in. If I drop something into this water, depending on how heavy it is, it's going to sink or float. First of all, this guy came out real disrespectful, talk about the stupidest shit. Like if he was in this room, I'd be smacking the shit out of him right now.
First of all,
okay,
it's all bullshit.
Right, sir? You know that, right?
What you say to the
you know that, right?
He's a scalar. It's not a force. It can't make things move. Buoyancy, there's a buoyant force, but it has gravity in the equation. Buoyancy only exists when gravity exists.
When gravity, the secret sauce.
Here's the problem with your density bullshit. You think that things fall down because the air is less dense. The air is less dense above the object too. So why the don't things fall up? Can you explain that to me?
Fall up, you fucking asshole. Bubbles go up, you stupid. Evaporation goes up, you dickhead. Like, what the f are you talking about?
That's because there's wind.
Because it's lighter than the density it's in. How can a fly defy gravity? How can a tadpole defy gravity, you fucking shithead? How does anything swim through the ocean? How do you lift your legs off the fucking ground?
So things can...
You cock bag.
Why do things fall down to the ground?
Because they're heavy. Because they have density. That's
okay, what is heavy? What is weight? Do you even know what weight is?
Oh my.
What's weight? Goodness. Tell me the definition of weight.
It's your head on your shoulders, you fat head
someone's
bitch.
Getting a little sassy because he doesn't know the answer to the question.
We're not going to sit here and talk about all this.
We're not going to sit here and define words that you don't know.
Yes, define words. We're talking about what's heavy and what's light.
Yeah, so what does heavy mean, dumbass? You said the word heavy. What is heavy? What is weight? What is weight? What does that mean? You don't know the definitions of the words you're using.
Bro.
Words.
These are definitions that are given by people who are here
who study things
who are here to reinforce a certain position. I'm talking about common sense
can't
shit.
change
Did
the
he just
laws
say,
of
sweetie?
physics. There's no amount of money that can change the laws.
Did this nigga just say sweetie? Yo.
There's no conspiracy here. You can't change what
listen.
is.
I'm talking about common sense. I'm not getting into all of this.
You're not talking about
Do you feel like you're moving?
Common sense has nothing to do with any of this.
Do you feel like you're moving?
You can't just
how do you have pressurized air in something that doesn't have a covering?
How do you have pressurized air?
And you guys will say.
Let him answer.
Hang on. Let me finish saying what I'm saying.
You said what you asked the question.
Bro.
You asked the question.
Dante,
do what you're going to do.
He's trying to be friends. But come on, man.
This is really adorable. You think that space is a vacuum cleaner because you don't know what a vacuum is? You don't know what vacuum is. What's a vacuum? What does vacuum mean? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
It has no air. It's, you know.
It's an absence of matter. So why the f would the vacuum of space pull air anywhere? Can you explain that?
A vacuum also pulls things, sir.
No, it doesn't. Vacuums don't suck. That's not a thing. So the Earth spins once per day.
Bro.
That's what a day is. Did you know that? Do you know what a day means? It's how long it takes the Earth to spin around one time. So all of this 1,000 miles an hour bullshit just makes you sound like an idiot because it spins once a day. It spins at half the rate of the hour hand on a clock. Not so fast, is it?
Well,
pretty funny shit, huh?
Yeah, really funny.
Yeah. Any response?
Yeah. You're full of shit.
Am I full of shit about what a day is? Is a day 24 hours? What's a day, dude? Tell me what a day is.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, when you say down, you mean towards the ground, right?
Yeah, that's the ground.
Yes.
So wherever you're standing on this thing, wherever the you're standing, down is towards the ground.
But now look how the
center of the
look
earth.
how it
So
look how it
nobody's upside
turns.
down.
Look how it
Everybody
curves, mother. Look how the shit is on the side
and
of
if
the
you're
ball.
Here, down is towards the center of the earth. And
But-
if you're
but you're
here,
standing
down is towards
on
the
the-
center of the earth.
but
And
you
if you're
see how-
here,
and if-
down is towards the center of the earth.
That
This is how dumb
that
you
doesn't
are.
make
This is
sense, asshole.
You
That's how
imagine
dumb
a
you
globe?
are. That shit don't make no f***ing sense.
You think that there's
You're
a
on the
magic
side,
down in
and
outer
it's supposed
space?
to be
Because
tilted,
you're imagining
and it's
the
supposed to be
globe
on
in
an
your house,
axis.
and you're
This
imagining
shit is fucking ridiculous.
below
Please
the
get
globe.
this clown out of
That's
here,
why you
please.
think that there's a down
All
in
right.
space.
Get this
in
clown out of
reality,
here.
there's no fucking down.
He's trying to get famous.
Magically
Okay,
in
you got
space.
famous off of me.
Down is towards
Get him
the
out of
center
here.
of the earth. Do you get it? Do you
Get him
understand?
out of here. Down.
Well, you're out of here. Where you going?
Down is towards you. Is what you do to your father. Get out of here.
Oh, now we got the gay jokes coming. He's getting a little mad. Okay, kiddo, listen, can you admit that you only think that this is down because you're standing on the ground? And so you're reinforcing what is the
thought
actual
this would
truth.
be,
I told you.
A nice discussion. I guess it got a little bit aggressive.
Yo, bro.
Everything is fake
For real,
because
like,
I don't
seriously,
like it.
like,
And it hurts my feelings.
Who's
I wanna
the
be
guest that you
special.
want? Because you know what I mean. Y'all can stay on with him.
I mean,
if you want
guys,
to, it's up to you.
I don't study this stuff like you guys.
Y'all want to stay on with him?
No.
Y'all want to stay on with him?
No, I invited you here. So
what then?
You paid a couple tolls.
All right, so then
that's expensive.
I'm done with him.
All right.
Okay, y'all saw the bullshit that happened on Godfrey's show with, the fake professor. And I'm going to tell you, I can't get too much into detail about this right now because I think there's some things going on. But all I can say is I apologize for the poor showing. To all my flat earth people out there, this changes nothing. Although I know I made myself look bad from being out of sorts for many different reasons that I can't necessarily get into at this moment. But I definitely was not myself that night. And I thought certain people were my friend, and you don't want to believe that your friends would do certain things, but yeah, it's definitely possible. But yeah, I was just not in my right state of mind. I apologize for allowing y'all to see me lose my cool. Yeah, that's what happened. I lost my cool. I let this sucker bitch, pull me into some shit. There's a guy on the show that used to be an ex-pimp, and, since he couldn't best me the last time, he did what a pimp does, and he got a bitch to do his dirty work. And that's what happened. Justin said it wasn't Godfrey who set you up. It was Dante. I think Dante was the source of it, but But
plot thickens.
Godfrey was complicit. He was complicit in the whole thing. He was the linchpin, because I wouldn't have done it for anybody else but Godfrey.
And I'm like, so my podcast don't mean shit to you. Because I did his podcast. I've never disrespected his podcast. I always was respectful to his podcast. And, and then when, when they were going back and forth, Dave didn't stand down. He was like, no, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. And I was like, okay, this is going to be good. Yeah. And it got a little viral. It got a little viral and shit. And then he was like, yo, take this dude off. It was like, yo, yeah, man, don't show that shit. Don't show the episode. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because that's with my shit. Yeah. That's my money up. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't show it, because we cut it off right away, too. Like, I say, oh, this is going to be cool. Yeah. It happens. And I said I won't show it. Yeah. As a friend, I won't do it. I did not show it. Yeah. Still to this day, they go, why'd you let this punk you into not? I said it wasn't about that. It was about being a friend. That's what I wanted to do, because I'm that kind of guy. I'm not a boy. I'm not. No one can say that about me. Nobody. You can not like me because whatever. That's fine. But as far as backstabbing people I know, as far as being like a gossip, I'm not that. I don't do that type of shit. I think your boy drugged me. I go, what? First of all, I'm not a weed smoker, so I'm like, what? I don't get it. He goes, I was out of sorts on that episode. So I go, but you smoke all day, every day. He's always rolling joints on there.
He rolled 3 blunts.
The whole place was smoked up. And he goes, your boy tried to pour, I don't know, he put something in the thing. I go, why would he do that? Like, he did it because he's like, yo, that's my man. I'm going to get him some weed, blah, 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 blah. And he threw that in. I go, Dante wouldn't do no shit like that. Why would he do that? Why the fuck would he spike himself and give you the same shit? Like, he don't do shit like that. Yeah, it was your behavior, man. You did that. I didn't make you call this dude an F word. I didn't make you say Dave. I didn't make any. I just said you showing up, cool. Yeah. I even gave you money for the toll. Congestion in tax data. I said, this is your behavior. And now you blaming me for that shit? That's bullshit. Yeah, man. And he said, I'm going to take some legal action. And then he goes, I didn't sign anything to show my, it's like that. You can't, you've been on my podcast before. Now you're doing this legal shit, whatever. It's clever. You can't do that. Like now you're going to do a lawsuit on me. Like what? Yeah. You called him F words and all kind of other shit, So, and it's almost like you're trying to make up a beef, I guess. Maybe that's a rap thing.
He tried to Drake you.
Yeah, he's trying to Drake me. Like, I'm like, huh? It's like, you're bad. Your enemy is the guy Dave, not me. And then you're calling us sucker bitch and all this other shit. I'm like, maybe you're that kind of guy. Maybe you're that kind of whack ass dude. Maybe that's what you are. Because I didn't call you any names. I said, let me just cut my money up. Yeah. And then you're saying, oh, they're just doing this for views. What individual on social media is not doing shit for views? What mother? If you ain't doing shit for views, you should not be on social media. Everybody wants views. That's why everybody and their mama is twerking on whatever. They're doing sketches with their kids so they can be influencers. You have to have views. That is how these things work. Views work. That's how you get money. Okay? That's how. Everybody's doing this shit for views, and you fucking right, I'm doing this for views.
But he's implying you sold him out for views.
I sold him out for views. That's what I did.
You got literally.
I sold him out. My views came because he's been on my show. Stop.
It looks.
I've earned my shit on my own.
He's creating this beef to get the views.
Probably, yeah. That helps him get views.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't, he'd be like, "Oh, let me not say anything."
Just another guess.
Because controversy brings people to watch. Yeah. So I'm like, to get views. Yeah. What else would I do this for? Yeah. I'm doing this for views. Right? Views are currency.
Yeah.
Views are currency. That's important to have views. Oh man. And this is not some beef I'm having with him. I just think you calling us names and calling me out. I'm like, I did you a favor. I tried. Yeah. And then you doing that, and so you backstabbing me? What kind of friend is that?
Let's talk about it, y'all. We got Godfrey and Lord Jamal apparently having a falling out, okay? As y'all seen in the clip, Lord Jamal played himself, messed around, put his foot in his mouth, And now he's starting to react like Drake a little bit, right? Can't control the outcome of the situation. So now you want to go the legal route to, I guess, scrub the internet of this debate gone wrong for Lord Jamar. Now, again, as you seen in the clip, how it all started, you know, Lord was up there with Godfrey, right? And everyone else on the podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the In Godfrey We Trust podcast. But as you seen in the clip, you know, Lord Jamar had his chest poked out. I'll debate Neil deGrasse Tyson over flat earth. You get what I mean? They like, look, we ain't got him, but we got someone else, Professor Dave. And boom, he start, you know, F Professor Dave. He just took it there. You know what I mean? Again, I understand. You know what I mean? You in an environment with your homies, your friends. You done had a couple shots. You done smoked about 2-3 L's. And now you're not prepared for this debate with this Professor Dave. Now, who would have thought that a falling out would take place between Godfrey and Lord Jamar, and it has nothing to do with Vlad, for once? Because, man, this is crazy. To see Lord Jamar's reaction to basically getting embarrassed, all right? He didn't have all his information there. And I would rather if Lord Jamar would have just said that at the beginning, right? Instead of disrespecting the man and basically, you know, creating this environment where the man is trying to have, you know, a debate with you and you trying to insult him. You know what I mean? He even went as far as to say, look, I slap the shit out you. We in this room right now. When people start talking like that, you know you got him. Right? Because again, you know, Professor Dave, he ain't threatening. He's speaking through a laptop, right? A streaming camera. So, you know, you can't really get violent with an individual who's trying to have a debate with someone who says, you know, they believe in the stance on flat earth. Me, I'm not going to go there with it. But the point is, how could you let this debate, right, get the best of you to the point where now you want to have a falling out with Godfrey? I mean, come on, yo. And like Godfrey said, he did his best and, you know, try to mediate the situation because, again, people wanted to see the debates. They wanted to hear Lord Jamar present his information to go up against this Professor Dave. Like I said, luckily, Professor Dave was able to screen record the whole interview because, according to Godfrey, Lord Jamar hit him up immediately and said, yo, I need you to take that video down, okay? And he ain't just... you know, asked Godfrey to take it down. He even told him, listen, if you don't, I go the legal route. I mean, huh? Come on, Lord. You took that straight out the Drake playbook, and then we not done. You go as far as to say that Godfrey's co-host laced the L that you were smoking. I mean, come on, y'all. Are you serious? All of this because you got embarrassed in a debate that you asked to be a part of. I mean, this is crazy. Okay, this is what happens when one doesn't want to accept reality, okay? Facts is, you thought you could debate this man, okay? And the funny thing is, Lord wanted to debate Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay? And he wasn't available. So they grabbed Professor Dave, and clearly, you were no match for Professor Dave, all right? Now it's everything else as to why you weren't prepared for this debate. And when it's one thing, right, if you didn't see the clip, because again, Godfrey being a good friend, he took it down. Okay, this Professor Dave, on the other hand, he asked to screen record the whole debate. So again, if you didn't see the video, I'll leave the link in the description so you can see the whole debate. That'd be a different thing, right? Because then you would hear Lord Jamar's reaction on the show, talk about he wasn't in his right frame of mind and how he thought, he was around friends he could trust. I mean, come on, yo. You too grown to be acting like this, Lord. At the end of the day, you put your foot in your mouth, okay? You had a couple, couple shots, couple L's, and you feeling like, you unstoppable. You can win any debate. Didn't matter who was coming in the studio. And then they get Professor Dave, and now it's, turn it off. Come on, Godfrey. Shut it down. I get the lawyers involved. And come on, man. Come on, Lord. What's going on, man? And I get it. Just a couple weeks ago, you was the people's champ. People were celebrating the fact that you were going back and forth with Fat Joe. After Fat Joe called out Lord Jamar and Tariq Nasheed and FBA on this My Expert Opinion interview with Math Hoffa. But before that, Lord Jamar, he had to apologize to Kamala, after he said some things about her. So it seems as if Lord is, on this new wave of media, right? This is his way of rebranding himself, right? We are long away from the days of Brand Nubian. But again, you know, just thinking back, seeing how this all came together between Godfrey and Lord Jamar, let's be clear, you know, COVID had a lot of people starting their own platforms. And it seemed as if Godfrey and Lord Jamar had good chemistry on camera, right? And we understand the falling out they had with Vlad TV. You know, it caused them to explore their options, right? And before you know it, Lord Jamar, Godfrey, and Raw Digger, they were on their own podcast, right? And it was dope, right? But for whatever reason, you know, COVID was over, right? The emergency shutdowns, the lockdowns, whatever you wanted to call it, everyone was forced to stay home. So listen, you know, since then, Rod Digger done got married. Everyone has been pretty much holding it down when it comes to that brand, right? But we haven't seen all three of them together in a while. And, you know, now it's just the God Pod with Lord Jamar. And people really miss the chemistry between all three of the hosts. You get what I'm saying? Lord Jamar, Rod Digger, and Godfrey. But now to see it get to this point where, you know, Godfrey has to respond to Lord Jamar saying that, you know, he was backstabbed by a friend. I mean, come on, man. This is crazy. Like I said, you got to watch the video because it's Lord Jamar's reaction, right, to Professor Dave's points. You know, you raise the question. Then when he answers the question, now you want to resort to violence. Now you want to overtalk him. And that's the part where it just ruins the whole debate altogether. Now you put Godfrey in an awkward position because, again, you know, you have a live audience, right? This is Godfrey's podcast. This is his platform. Not to mention, you know, he has a relationship with Professor Dave. You don't want to have a reputation of attacking your guest, right? Or having co-hosts that are resorting to violence every time they see a difference in viewpoints or opinions, right? Or ideologies. I mean, come on, Lord. You got to be better than that. You're a grown-ass man, right? We wonder why the youth act how they act because they witness the elders move like this. You go out there, you mess up, you own up to it, you learn from it, and you move on. You don't slander your homies. You don't kick their back in because the outcome didn't go the way you prefer. That's just not how it goes. Now you make things worse because homie got the whole interview up. It's already at 500,000. So, like I said, come on. You know, at the end of the day, we not here to bash anyone, but I'm not going to stop from calling it how I see it. And to go this far is to accuse Godfrey of betraying you and blaming his friend of lacing your L, all because you got embarrassed, all because you put your foot in your mouth. Come on, Lord. That's crazy. Now, what does this mean when it comes?
In Nigeria, people are waiting all day at banks and ATMs to withdraw.
Fathers have left home in order for their children to get meat and bread. There are so many dehumanizing elements in the welfare system that we are concerned about removing. Ultimately, we are concerned about a guaranteed annual income. And the other thing I think it is very necessary to say is that everybody's on welfare in this country. And when it comes to black people and poor people, we just call it something else. When it's for white people and rich, we call it subsidies.
It's no secret, fatherless households are more common in the black community. A survey from the American Consensus Institution revealed that 67% of black children under 18 in the US live in homes without fathers. This is a stark contrast to white children, as only 24% of them live in fatherless homes. But it wasn't always like that. The black families survived generations of open racism, widespread poverty, and slavery. They lived through segregation and violence, and strong family bonds used to be the norm.
As of 1960, 2/3 of all black American children were living with both parents. That declined over the years until only 1/3 were living with both parents in 1995. So it's not the legacy of slavery that destroys the African American family.
It's the legacy of the welfare state.
Between 1890 and 1950, the marriage rate was much higher among black women than white women. A fraction of black children lived in homes without their fathers. But everything changed with the expansion of the welfare state. It divided the household and created a dependency on welfare. This kind of reminds me of what President Reagan said.
I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
So, what happened? What's the mechanism? Here is a detailed look at how the welfare state played a role in the dissolving of the family structure over the years. People say that the breakdown of traditional family units, family structures, is a byproduct of black poverty, not just because there is no man to support the family financially, but also because women tend to earn less than men on average. Of course, the connection between the two is there, but it goes deeper than that. Welfare was a mean little business. It was designed to get people by in a pinch. Public assistance programs, like welfare entitlements, have been a part of American culture since the 1940s. Unfortunately, like in many other aspects of government institutions, Black Americans were left out. In time, Black people could also get financial support, but it wasn't easy. Mothers who applied for checks had to let social workers inspect their homes to see if their conditions were suitable for welfare. These workers also had to make sure no man was living in the house. But even if they qualified for support, the amount they received was meager and not enough to build a stable life. In the early 1960s, welfare was not yet common, even in the most impoverished Black communities. In the decade that followed, the number of Black people on welfare went up by 169%. They further increased by 30% from 1970 to 1975. In 1972, New York City, almost 1 out of every 6 residents was on welfare. A major portion of these households were Black. Although Black people were only around 1/10 of all Americans, they made up almost 50% of all welfare recipients by the late 70s. A recent UNICEF report showed that many children under 18 in America struggle financially, and African American children are nearly 4 times more likely to be in poverty than white children. Though the number of families receiving cash assistance has decreased since 1996, child poverty rates for Black children in the US remain high. This outcome in the workplace, they held low-paying jobs, often paid in cash and off the books. This made them ineligible for social insurance programs. The ADC program was an extension of state-run programs that supported widowed mothers, but mostly benefited white widows. The states decided eligibility and need, and since the separate but equal doctrine was in place, Blacks were still excluded from fully participating. Jim Crow laws and the separate but equal doctrine led to a system with different services for whites and Blacks. But as we all know by now, they were far from equal. States made efforts to cut down ADC enrollment and costs. They proposed residency requirements to prevent Blacks from the South from qualifying for the program. In 1935, there was a hearing on a bill, and the NAACP, an organization that fights for civil rights, expressed their concerns. Southern politicians wanted to exclude agricultural and domestic workers from the bill. This meant that many Black workers couldn't get the support they needed. This exclusion would particularly affect Black sharecroppers and cash tenants, who were already struggling to make ends meet. Even though the NAACP was highly against it, the Social Security Act was approved. That's why 65% of African Americans nationwide were not eligible for benefits, and an even larger percentage of these Black families in the South were excluded from the program. In the 1950s and 60s, things got even worse for Black families. Welfare checks incentivized single-mother households, and there was one rule that ruined it all: the man-in-the-house rule. Black families have long been the victims of income inequality and bad government policies. The irony, of course, is that conservatives pushed Black mothers to break their families to get welfare. Before 1968, many states and administrative agencies created and enforced the man-in-the-house rule. This rule basically meant that if there is a working or healthy man in the house, the government can't help you. And they would go as far as to send welfare workers to visit the homes without warning to check if a man was present. If they found any evidence whatsoever, families lost their welfare benefits. Over the years, the welfare state started dissolving the family structure, slowly but surely. A man who can't get a decent job and provide a substantial income suddenly believes that his family is better off without him. So, if a man were to lose his job, he literally had to leave the house so his children could get government surplus peanut butter, beans, and cheese. On the other hand, if either the woman or the man, or both, were irresponsible, they faced no consequences for their actions. And it was the taxpayers who ended up paying for it. These things aren't exactly designed to keep the marriage intact. They are meant to divide people. The harm done to the children was massive. Many children experienced the hurt from broken families at such a young age. In 1960, just 33% of Black American children didn't live with 2 parents, but by 1988, that rate went up to 61%. In that time, the proportion of Black children born to single mothers rose from 23% to more than 60%. This is exactly why we can't judge government policies based on their ideals, but based on their results. And these results, well, left a ton of households fatherless. I mean, think about it. What would the result have been if this welfare policy had required the opposite of that both parents live in the same home and care for their children to receive government assistance? The welfare state did what slavery couldn't do. It broke families apart. And broken families fuel poverty. The structure of the family can influence the choices children make. For example, boys raised without their fathers are more likely to drop out of school, get violence, use drugs, or go to jail. Girls are more likely to have a child out of wedlock or engage in sexual activities at a very early age. These children are also more prone to mental health problems, which can affect them as adults. A psychology test detailed in Roy Baumeister and John Tierney's book Willpower showed that children from fatherless households were more likely to settle for a small prize straight away. In contrast, children with fathers present were more willing to wait for a bigger prize. Experts from the Northwestern Institute for Policy Research challenged that these effects are primarily due to dangerous neighborhoods or poor schools. They found that the direct effect of family structure itself played a more significant role. As marriage rates declined among the poor and working class in the US, the institution of marriage has remained strong among the wealthier population, with similar rates to those from 50 years ago. At the same time, the decrease in marriage among the working class has led to a significant rise in out-of-wedlock births, often to couples who are living together without being married. This happens because people view marriage as an ideal situation, but feel it is unachievable, yet they still want to have children. In the mid-1980s, the rates of fatherless households dramatically increased. Today, just 44% of black children live with their fathers. Also, a lot more black children are born outside of marriage. The rates of such cases went up from 24.5% in 1964 to 70.7% by 1994, which remains at a similar level today. Many people blame the expansion of welfare programs for the breakdown of black families. Since 1935, people have had access to cash welfare, but this welfare was quite modest and not enough to cover any of the living expenses. With Johnson's Great Society, which began in 1964, welfare benefits became much more generous and controlled. When I mean controlled, I mean crazy. The man in the house rule discouraged marriage because it provided welfare assistance to mothers if no man was living in the house. If a mother married an employed man, even one earning the minimum wage, it jeopardized her financial support. These benefits were huge. The Great Society programs offered a way out for low-income black families. This could be why, in 1964, only 7% of American children were born out of wedlock, compared to the current rate of 40%. So basically, the government urged mothers to keep fathers out of the home and paid them well for doing so. Shifts in the labor market and deindustrialization greatly impacted job opportunities, especially for low-skilled workers. It hurt both whites and black people, but black communities were the most affected. Here's an example. Imagine a city like Detroit, where the manufacturing industry was the top employer, and many black men held manufacturing jobs. Here, in the 1970s, 56% of black men were in the manufacturing industry, but by 2000, it dropped to 26%. Over the years, technological advancements and economic shifts created a demand for skilled workers in other sectors, like healthcare or technology. These new jobs required a higher level of education and specialized skills. The problem was the lower level of education among black men on average. As jobs increasingly required education beyond high school, black men faced many challenges. This made it harder for them to adapt to the changing job market and find new employment in other industries. White men were better equipped to handle the changing job market. They had higher education and a greater chance of securing well-paid jobs in emerging industries. Then there was the 90s gear change. In the late 1990s, efforts to reform the AFDC program took on more subtle forms of racism. Critics claimed that the program encouraged out-of-wedlock births, irresponsible fatherhood, and dependency across generations. During this time, there was a lot of public concern about the cost of welfare programs. Some people believed that the programs contributed to rising taxes and national debt. It tapped into public fears and created a seriously negative perception of people who received welfare. There were a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about those who lived in poverty. So, the reform bill that was eventually passed replaced the AFDC with TANF, Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. The new bill imposed stricter work requirements, expecting single mothers to find work within 2 years of receiving benefits. There was also a 5-year limit on receiving benefits. To promote traditional family values, teenage mothers didn't receive benefits. But that was not all. If a father were to fall behind on child support payments, they could face threats of imprisonment. The bill restricted the use of federally funded TANF for certain groups of immigrants. There were also eligibility limitations on Medicaid, food stamps, and supplementary Social Security income, SSI. These measures were just too harsh. They made it difficult for families in need to get proper financial support. Instead of addressing the root of poverty and creating new employment opportunities, it just punished those who already struggled financially. Well, today, modern problems require new solutions. According to Forbes, the economic status of Black Americans is still far behind compared to white people in terms of stock ownership, net worth, income, home ownership, and other metrics. In the United States, Black workers earn about 30% less than white workers. Almost 50% of Black workers are working in retail, food services, healthcare, and accommodation, and a huge chunk of these workers are doing lower paying services. Imagine getting paid more than 40% less than white men for doing the exact same job. If you are a Black woman in the US, this is more likely to happen. In 2020, Black women earned around 58% of what white men earned on average. Similar to Latinas and Native women, Black women face a much more significant pay gap compared to all women. This is because they face both racism and sexism in the workplace. Today, the Social Security program is a backbone for many Black families. It protects them through disability, retirement, or death. The program is crucial because African Americans often lack financial resources and have higher disability rates. The program is meant to help those who earn low income get benefits. Those who heavily rely on Social Security are older Black people with lower lifetime earnings and fewer pension benefits. For example, in 2017, 35% of married and 58% of unmarried older Black people received 90% or more of their income from Social Security. Despite its importance, Black Americans still benefit less overall from the program because of the ongoing pay disparities and shorter life expectancies. These factors result in lower lifetime earnings and, in turn, reduce the total benefits received from Social Security. In 2005, President George W. Bush wanted to make some changes and planned to privatize the program. But the NAACP responded with a nationwide campaign called SOS, Save Our Social Security, and partnered with the Congressional Black to keep the program safe. It worked. Social Security is still an important support system for countless families. Unfortunately, our country has made very few efforts to reduce the disparities in wealth and income between Black and white households. Despite laws against pay discrimination, Black men earn 83 cents and Black women earn 62 cents for every dollar earned by white men. Also, practices like redlining or housing discrimination have made it nearly impossible or much less profitable for Black families to own homes. These structural barriers create fewer opportunities for Black people to accumulate wealth and save for retirement. When the pandemic hit, Social Security became even more critical. Many Black adults lost jobs, and many small businesses were forced to close. The coronavirus made it very difficult to keep up with mortgage or rental payments. The thing is, today, more Black Americans are more likely to enter a church to go to a funeral than to celebrate a wedding. Fatherless homes, declining marriage rates, and high divorce rates are challenging the Black community to the core. Imagine as a young child living in poverty with a single mother in a poor and drug-infested neighborhood. Over the years, you would have witnessed how this would impact your chances of success, like finishing high school and getting a good job. Because of this, many Black children are raised with little expectations or a sense of hope. Now, some might argue that it takes a village to raise a kid, but in reality, the urban public housing village is drenched in toxic influences like violence, drugs, and bad role models. And in that village, fatherless boys are left alone to figure out what it takes to be a man. So, where do they look? To one another. And in many cases, they turn to gangs and the streets. Girls' lives, too, are deeply damaged in fatherless households. Without a father figure, young girls can experience psychological and emotional challenges. They can have lower self-esteem and struggle to form healthy relationships with men. Teen pregnancy is a common problem. They can also struggle with economic hardships and poor academic performance. For things to change, we need to acknowledge that the absence of Black men is damaging countless households. To fill this void, it is essential to reunite fathers with their children, but also to teach the younger generation the value of family structures. But this is something that will take time and a lot of effort. All in all, the US welfare system is a clear reflection of its economic policies and the nation's long history of racism. From the very beginning, the policy excluded Black Americans who were already struggling financially. The man in the house rule only made things worse, which greatly impacted Black households. The expansion of welfare led to a decrease in fathers' involvement in raising their children, leaving mothers to struggle alone in jobless poverty. This created a new reality for poor Blacks, where work became optional, fathers were rare, and dysfunction became common. The lack of family loyalty and work ethic led to a new oppositional racial outlook among young Black males.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. Last night I referenced laying down with dogs and waking up with fleas. Well, these days there's a lot of people who might as well have been sleeping in a freaking kennel. For many years now, you've had people giving cover to these white supremacists and supporting all of their lines, people who should have known better. Now, a lot of them have been people who are not classified as white under white supremacy, and yet these individuals see themselves that way, or at least they want to be perceived that way. When you look at individuals like Stephen Miller, David Horowitz, Ed Blum, Bethany Frankel, Barry Weiss, Ben Shapiro. Now, in these people's case, they repeat every anti-black talking point you've ever heard. People like Ben Shapiro in particular will be the first ones to tell you, I'm not a Trump supporter, I'm not a Trump supporter, I'm conservative, not a Trump supporter. And while it's true that he's not a Trump fanboy now, that wasn't always the case. And all of these folks put Elon Musk on a pedestal. They figure by lauding and praising this putrid bigot and joining in on attacking black people, that would assure these white supremacists that they're not a threat and to leave them alone. Well, now the people who are helping the white right to get into power are seeing Elon Musk's Nazi salute wasn't some one-off. Musk has now publicly told the Germans that it's time to stop apologizing for the Holocaust. He gave a video address to Germany's far-right AfD party, in which he told them it's time to move on from the Holocaust. Now, it shouldn't surprise anyone that Elon Musk is cozying up with the would-be heir apparents to the Nazis, because Musk is himself a reject from apartheid South Africa. When the South Africans, specifically Nelson Mandela, refused to hold their oppressors economically accountable for their 100-year human rights violations and forcibly divest them of their illegal profits from apartheid, they threw the door wide open for this.
Picture this, it's 1950 and the Smiths, a white family from New York, want to buy a new home in the suburbs for what would be about $62,000 in today's money. Now, meet the Johnsons. They're a black family who also dreams of buying a new home in this neighborhood. The Smiths apply for a bank loan and are quickly approved. The loan was backed by the federal government to boot. The Johnsons apply for a similar loan, but are rejected because banks will only lend to white Americans. While the Smiths begin moving in, the Johnsons can't find a realtor who will show them homes in the Smiths neighborhood, even if they wanted to pay in cash. The Johnsons then try their luck in a predominantly black neighborhood. They're denied a loan again because the federal government refuses to back black buyers anywhere. Flash forward to the year 2000. The Smiths have paid off their home that's now appreciated in value up to $149,000. The Johnsons, on the other hand, had to rent for the past 2 generations. While the Smiths built wealth and passed it down to their grandkids, the Johnsons never saw a return on their rent.
This is not an isolated incident. Scenarios like this have been plaguing black Americans for generations, and it's only getting worse. Today, black families have a median net worth of $17,150. Compare that to white families, who have a worth nearly 10 times as much at $171,000.
On average, every additional dollar a white family earns grows to about $5.19 in wealth. Black families see a negative return of about 69 cents, which means they lose wealth over time. And the racial wealth gap is widening in the United States.
That's not to say that other countries aren't dealing with their own version of a racial wealth gap. But American capitalism is built on a system that perpetuates the racial wealth gap, and it will keep doing just that until serious and systemic policy change happens. Here's the thing about wealth. You need to start out with some in order for it to grow.
Secure banking and low-cost credit are 2 of the most basic means of building wealth. Here's how that works. Banks take in deposits. They keep that money safe and accessible to their depositors. Then they loan that money out and charge interest on it, therefore making a profit. People can make money by depositing money into a bank, getting a loan from the bank, using that loan to build equity through buying property or starting a business, and then building their wealth from those endeavors.
But black Americans have been denied fair access to banking to build wealth since emancipation in 1863.
Near the end of the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln agreed to establish a settlement that would include 40 acres of land and a mule for each newly emancipated family. After Lincoln's assassination, President Andrew Johnson thought formerly enslaved people should work to buy their own land instead. Remember that thing about needing some wealth in order for it to grow? Well, President Johnson took all that away, denying them the capital they needed to start building wealth. So instead of 40 acres and a mule, the Freedmen's Savings Bank was established.
Here's why that was a problem. A bank must secure deposits and offer loans to the depositor in order to build wealth, and the Freedmen's Bank was explicitly not a lending bank. It was made to hold people's deposits and not multiply it through the yields of a loan. Still, the bank was so successful that in 10 years it handled $75 million. That's 1.5 billion in today's money.
That much money proved too tempting for its white finance chairman, who secretly invested deposits in high-risk enterprises. The bank had been heavily advertised to be a low-risk savings bank, not an investment bank. This lie was the newest example of black capital being used to benefit white people. The risky loans eventually failed, and in 1874, the Freedmen's Bank closed its doors, wiping out $3 million of hard-earned black savings with it. W.E.B. Du Bois said at the time that another decade of slavery wouldn't have damaged black wealth as much as the Freedmen's Bank collapse did.
For decades after the disaster, African Americans distrusted the banking system. The few banks that would take their deposits wouldn't loan money to them, effectively using African American money to build more white wealth. So, whilst white people bought homes and started businesses and watched their wealth grow, black people's capital was once again exploited and lay stagnant. But then, at the turn of the century, black Americans decided to build their own wealth, and this time do it on their own terms by establishing black banks.
From 1900 to 1930, about 130 black-owned banks were formed, but these banks could only succeed as much as segregation allowed them to. Black depositors generally had lower balances and withdrew money more frequently than their white counterparts. This meant that black banks had less capital on hand, which made it harder to lend. Without enough lending, economic mobility in black communities was stunted. Black banks were very separate, very unequal, and most didn't survive the Great Depression. Through the rest of the century, one of the most common ways Americans held and grew wealth was by owning property. As a result, it's no surprise homeowners' median net worth is now 80 times bigger than renters. Hefty government subsidies have played a huge part in creating a once strong middle class, but black Americans have largely been left out. One of the best examples of this comes from President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal program designed to build back American wealth after the Great Depression. It was 1934, and the Federal Housing Administration had just been created to insure home loans.
With the FHA guarantee that mortgages would be covered even if homeowners couldn't pay, banks could make out loans without fear of losing money. This was one of the biggest wealth-building measures of the century. Historians have gone so far as to call it white affirmative action. Purposefully and critically, it left out black Americans.
The federal government didn't just insure mortgages anywhere. They published risk maps where the least desirable, riskiest areas were colored in red. Risk was completely determined by race. The more black residents in a neighborhood, the more risky. This practice, called redlining, meant that residents of mostly black neighborhoods were denied housing loans and therefore the opportunity to buy property. Black families like the Johnsons were also shut out of mostly white neighborhoods for fear that their purchase would flip the neighborhood to risky. Even though housing discrimination was outlawed by the Fair Housing Act of 1968, black people today still face unequal barriers to housing by way of denied home loans and undervalued properties.
Black Americans still face exploitative financial conditions, whereas white Americans have a better chance to build wealth. In the system, reasonable loans and low-cost credit options are made available to white communities, whereas predatory and higher-risk loans and credit is offered to black communities.
Take the subprime mortgage loans of the 1990s. Subprime loans were intended for borrowers who had less than prime credit assets or income. These loans had high interest rates that got very expensive very fast. They were also discriminately being sold to black borrowers, even though many qualified for prime loans. Between 1993 and 1998, high-cost subprime loans were 5 times more likely in black neighborhoods than white ones. And when the housing market crashed in 2008, black Americans lost more than half of their wealth. Sound familiar? A home in a mostly black neighborhood is still undervalued by $48,000 on average compared to an almost identical home in a mostly white neighborhood. That's $156 billion in lost equity across all black-owned homes in the US.
When it comes to banking, expensive penalties for having low balances or withdrawing frequently means that nearly half of the black population is unbanked or underbanked, leaving them prime targets for check cashers and payday lenders. As it turns out, it's really expensive being poor. Exploitation of black capital, breaching contracts, redlining, Jim Crow laws have undoubtedly created a racial wealth gap. But these tactics have done much worse than impact black wallets. A pattern of poverty and violence emerges when you look at the history of the places where recent police killings and uprisings have happened.
The Minneapolis neighborhood where George Floyd was killed. The Staten Island neighborhood where Eric Garner was killed. The Baltimore neighborhood where Freddie Gray was killed. All these areas were once deemed hazardous and redlined in risk assessment maps. The federal government intended to keep these redlined neighborhoods poor and heavily policed, widening the wealth gap even further.
So where do we go from here? Let's start by thinking about equality under the law as a legal contract. And then let's acknowledge that that contract has been breached. When contracts are breached, settlements need to be made. Academics, activists, and even some politicians agree and are calling for reparation. Beginning in 1989, Democrats started introducing bills to study reparations, which would include a formal apology from the government and compensation to descendants. Reparations are not unheard of to Americans, and they can come in many forms.
In 1988, the government paid $20,000 to every living survivor of the Japanese internment camps, and Native Americans have seen reparations, albeit to a much lesser extent as well.
Reparations for descendants of slavery could look like compensations for wages lost or discriminatory practice. It could be a more holistic approach that would see a bolstering of community growth.
Since so much discrimination has occurred around housing, one solution could be creating a down payment assistance fund, real money that could appreciate through home ownership. The government could also fully fund childcare, allowing more black parents to stay in the workforce. Evidence shows this would create economic benefits to the state and federal governments in turn. Win-win. Wiping out student loan debts and cash bail systems, or creating business grants for startups, these could all be forms of reparations. And it doesn't have to stop with the government. Some private banks and universities with a history of enslaving black people have set up college scholarship funds to start chipping away at their wrongdoing. And in 2016, rapper and activist Killer Mike called on people to #BankBlack after protests to protect black lives gained momentum. This time, the hope behind the success of black banks was to provide the variety of deposits it needed in order to reduce overheads and lend more generously. Wealthy depositors flooded banks with much needed capital that year. And it didn't stop there. Companies like Netflix, PayPal, and Costco joined in. If policy change follows in other sectors like job creation and education, Black banks today could begin serving their communities in a mutually beneficial and profitable way.
All of this to say that if the promise of equality cannot be made good, and true reforms targeting the many ways that Black Americans have been treated like second-class citizens not forthcoming, then there will be no end to demands for justice and no possibility of lasting peace.